Thank you for being punctual. We will start the session in a short while. Assalamualaikum and very good morning. Hi everyone. My name is Nadia binti Ramlan as Training Manager and I will be moderating this webinar session for today. Welcome to the webinar on how to write critical literature review chapter. Before we get started, there are some information. Today's session is being recorded to be available for viewing after the event. To be noted, you have to fill feedback form to get a recording session later. Please keep yourself mute throughout the session. If you have any question for the speaker, please use the chat feature on the Zoom platform. Leave the question there and our speaker will answer on Q&A session. You may also use the raise hand button on your Zoom screen to ask questions directly to our speaker. Now, let me introduce our speaker for today. Our speaker for today is Dr. Notuti Aini binti Abdul Wahid. Dr. Notuti Aini is currently a senior lecturer in UiTM Shah Alam. She holds a PhD in curriculum and instruction from University Putra Malaysia, UPM in 2019. She also a professional educator that engaged with more than 500 organizations to help more 10,000 individuals to perform in various fields of education. Finally, she has coached more than 50 PhD candidates and 20 master students in personal coaching sessions. Okay, without wasting time, Dr. Tuti, the screen is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, our moderator, Dr. Nadia. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes,
All
Dr.
right.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened to my virtual background, but it seems that it cannot be blend in with the background. So my lung savior is still appear. So I guess okay lah, good. And then suddenly my eyes becomes somewhat like alien sometimes kan. Tapi it's okay. All right, so thank you, Dr. Nadia and Dr. Farah. I think Dr. Farah is here, Dr. Nadia.
Yes,
I'm here, Dr. Tuti.
Okay, yes, thank you, Dr. Farah. And good morning to everyone, to all the participants. So thank you for that introductions. I've mentioned to Dr. Nadia that I ni orang biasa-biasa je, jadi tak payah panjang introduction. Kan? Tak ada apa yang menarik sangat pun, but yes, of course kita boleh collaborate lah in terms of the experiences of writing, okay? I do have the experience in writing the literature review, and my experience is actually as bad as yours, kan? Sebab bila kita PhD candidate, sometimes reader comments, people comments about the writing with regards to it's not critical enough. Okay, you need to do a critical literature review because it seems that you are copy paste ataupun restate the statement from the previous studies. It's not a critical review, or it's not an analyzing or synthesizing of style. And we ask ourselves how we want to write the critical literature review, especially PhD candidates that do not have PhD or master's candidate that do not have any research background previously. So it's quite difficult. It's quite tough for us actually to do a critical review of other papers, okay, previously other papers. So inshallah today I will share the experience, and based on my amalan practices when I'm doing my PhD, and currently I'm doing a few paper, this and that. Inshallah, I will share you the strategies, the tips that I use to make sure that I critically presented my literature review in my writing. Okay, so today we have how many participants? Kejap, I lupa nak check tadi berapa participants.
Today we have 15. One have their own matter. So we have 15.
All right,
including Dr. Farah, 16.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Dr. Nadia, for that information. Okay, so I guess I try to share my screen first. Okay, let us share the screen. Too many screen open, so I should share my screen lah, kot, yeah. Because later I need to jump here and there. Yeah. Okay, can you see my slide now?
Okay, doktor, can.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm
Nama doktor
presenting.
mungkin boleh besarkan.
I'm presenting now. Can you
Okay.
see it? All right.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, so now, I need to move to this part. Okay, so my topics today yang telah diamanahkan kepada saya adalah how to write a critical literature review. Okay, so I guess many candidates of PhDs and masters want to know actually how we want to write the critical literature review. And currently in this stage, I also keep learning and keep upgrading the strategies, the tips that I create for myself to make sure that I'm able to write down, okay, more critical ways, okay, in writing the literature review. Okay, so this is me. Tadi Dr. Nadia dah perkenalkan. Okay, so here I have a few contacts that you can perhaps want to drop a message and ask a questions and whatnot. Okay, but warning siap-siap lah. Kalau I balas lambat tu jangan mengajuk ya, because itu adalah normal. Dr. Nadia mungkin dah faham kan. Kadang hari ni balas 3 hari, hari ni message 3 hari baru balas. Itu normal ya. Okay, but anyway, today is not about me. Today is about you. So what we want to look today is actually this is the overall, because the hours, the span that give to me adalah 2 hours. So means in 2 hours, I need to compress the contents in terms of at the end of the day, you dapat the gist of how to want to create, how want to write the critical literature review. Sorry lah tersasul sebab I ni cepat distract sikit kalau ada something yang moving depan I ni. Jadi ada something yang moving ni kat sini. Okay, but anyway, this will be the table of contents. Okay, first of all, kita akan tengok why literature review. Okay, why literature review means why we need to emphasize the style of writing in literature review. Okay, some say that literature review is a review. So why we need to actually critically write these particular chapters. Okay, so let me share with you why is actually this particular chapters is crucial in our writing. Okay, and then move to the second part. Okay, I will introduce to you and share with you the different types of literature review. So perhaps later you want to use these different types in your writing, because not all parts of the subtopic in literature review can be used the same type. I mean, you may want to use a different types of writing styles in your literature review. If not, then dia akan jadi a bit bored. Dia macam monotonous dia punya writing. Okay, so mungkin at the beginning of the chapters you want to start with narratively literature review. You are telling a stories, okay, introduce this and that, and then later towards the half of the literature review, then you start to argue. Okay, so you give a momentum to your writing, and then perhaps at the end of the chapters you want to actually go back to the narrative types of literature review. Kan macam kita tulis novel kan, ataupun kita baca novel, first tu dia tak ada siap-siap digaduh terus, tak ada. Dia akan introduce dulu, these are the characters, you know, this and that. Okay, the story will start, you know, kan dia macam slowly lah, dia akan uphillkan the momentum tu. So I guess the literature review is also is very important for us to start the momentum. If not, reader tu baca kan, sebab reader ni pun kena tahu dia adalah normal human being. So sometimes you fight with our husband, we fight with our children, you know, and suddenly we read your literature review and this is it. Okay, so sometimes dia boleh what we call that, the words, I lost the words. Dia boleh menyebabkan momentum reading to lower lah. Okay, and then move to the third chapters ataupun third section. I want to share how actually we want to develop the themes in our writing. Okay, when I said the themes means you need to have a specific topic for the paragraph that you want to actually write, so that your writing is not gone awry. Dia tak adalah pergi jump here, jump there. Okay, the strategies have been explained in paragraph 2, but later in paragraph 4 kita nampak lagi a few strategies explained. So if you want to explain about the strategies, kumpulkan dalam satu paragraph, argue accordingly and justify accordingly in the same paragraph. Okay, we are not talking the same things dalam a different several paragraph. Okay, so this is how you write. Okay, because plot tu kena ada. Plot tu kena ada. Nak plot twist tak ada masalah. Tapi plot tu you need to have the plot. Which one is the themes that you need to write generally? Which one in the themes that you need to write down in depth? Okay, so this is actually need to be planned. Sebab tu plot ni kita kena planning. So before we plan the plot, kita nak kena ada themes dulu. Okay, based on the title of the literature review. Title of your research. Okay. Okay, last but not least, we'll go to hands-on punya session, which is write your literature review. And I really hope that this particular phase, perhaps you can go with me and then do the things that I demonstrate in front of the screen so that you can have that particular steps, okay? You can grasp how is actually the steps on to write your critical literature review. Jadi sambil-sambil tu tolong buat bersama-sama dengan saya, okay? Because in 2 hours perhaps we don't have a time for you to present the titles and whatnot, okay? But I really hope that in front of the screen you will follow the steps and then you will get the gist of this writing. Okay, so if you have any questions you can put in the chat box, but I'm not sure where I can retrieve my chat box here. Okay, kejap, sebab sekarang ni Zoom ni dia dah update. Jadi I pula rarely use Zoom, usually pakai Teams. Jadi dia macam agak.
Apa doktor, nanti saya akan bacakan soalan.
Okay, alright, cool. Thank you Nadia. Okay. Okay. Excuse me. So I think this statement kita kena tahu. Okay, kita kena tahu and kita kena menjiwai statement. Okay, literature review is not just chronological catalog or a collection of quotes and paraphrasing. Based on my experience, when I read literature review chapters, okay, so many students, so many candidates that just restate the statement and paraphrase the statement according to Tuti, okay, this and that, okay, while Nadia state here and there, you know, this kind of thing, okay, so such as you buat the review only, but you are not actually analyze, synthesize the key findings of the statement from the previous study and then make it on your own words and then justify accordingly, okay. It is an evaluation. When we are talking about literature review, you need to evaluate the idea, okay? Integrate the idea, okay? Perhaps the idea is approximately the same. The key findings is approximately the same across the authors. For example, like we have 5 authors. We read from the five articles, but the gist is the same. Okay, so how you want to write it in your literature review, because there are so many authors that agree to the same perspective. And then on the other hand, there are several authors that does not agree to the first perspective. So how you want to write it down in your literature review. Okay, so this is actually literature review is all about. So at the end of the day, you can clearly state it, what is actually the extension of your study. What is actually the things that you need to do in your study based on the critics, evaluation and integrating idea of from the previous author. That's why you selalu dengar kan macam di mana gap you. Ini adalah perkataan keramat dan ramai juga yang allergic bila dengar gap. Tapi itulah kan, we need to have some gap. Okay, kalau Allen and Crossmeyer dia cakap performance gap. Apa yang kosong di tengah itu? Apa yang you need to add? It's not that kita nak close the gap to 100%, tidak. Okay, but if you can close a little bit of that gap, it should be okay. And then you need to actually clearly stated, okay, clearly stated the focus and then how you want to close the gap in your research. Some scholars they tak agree dengan gap, tapi it's okay lah. Itu adalah the terms of defining the things, so kan. Tapi I think this is what actually the research needs, okay, and this is actually need to be highlighted in your literature review. Sebab dalam literature review tu semua ada, the variables, the subject area, the theory, apa lagi? Yang ada kat dalam tu, the methodology, okay, kita kena justify why is actually kita choose this particular theory, kenapa kita pilih variable ini, okay, so this is actually the functions of literature review. Kita nak tengok sama ada teori yang kita pilih ni, kenapa kita pilih teori ini and how will it suit with our research, okay, so this is the literature review is all about, okay, so it's not just a chronological catalog. Tak bukan paraphrase another idea and whatnot. Tidak. Kita kena evaluate, integrate and critiques as well. Okay. Okay, so let's move on to why literature review. This one's perhaps you always listen in other workshop too. Okay, nanti kita sampai dekat hands-on tu mungkin you boleh integrate this particular this particular points in your writing later. Okay, so as I mentioned previously, literature review is crucial, okay, to situate your research within existing knowledge. That's why supervisor you selalu bebel kan. Make sure literature review you ada citation from the current studies, okay, from the current studies. Kenapa kita nak sangat current studies? Why kita tak tengok 1978, 1963 for examples? Because of this particular criteria of literature review. Okay, so means you need to prove, bukan proof lah, you need to showcase you punya research ni is actually relevant at this time being. Masih lagi exist dekat knowledge, frontier of knowledge, okay, at this current point. So this is actually the most crucial part, because sometimes when you actually dealing with technology kind of thing kan, teknologi ni dia lebih cepat sikit dia punya perkembangan compared to other field perhaps. Sometimes this week kita ada iPhone 14, sekarang 14 dah ke? Saja kerik tu. iPhone 9 and then the other weeks kita dah ada iPhone 10. So perhaps teknologi tu dia cepat sikit in terms of the development of the theory and whatnot kan. So your technology mungkin juga pakai augmented reality. Tapi itu dah outdated dah. Itu dah 3 years ago ataupun itu adalah 3 months ago. But currently kita dah ada a new technology that we use in this and that. Okay, so you need to please prepare your literature review according to this. That's why when we are talking about literature review, dia akan sentiasa berubah until your last submission. Okay, because perhaps during a few days before your viva kan, sometimes ada something yang perhaps ada new knowledge come upon in the articles and whatnot. Katalah tengah baca-baca buku dan sebagainya, tiba-tiba dalam paper keluar digitalized learning and then pop up a new technology. Okay, of course you can mention in your literature review after you nak buat submission for viva later. Okay, so perhaps you need to always update your literature review. Okay, itu satu. So yang buat PhD tahun 2017 for example, then you need to update your literature review lah, because currently kita dah 2022. So mungkin yang 2012, 2011 tu kena update a little bit. Okay, nak update boleh, kita kena tambahkan the citations. If you want to remain the 2012 punya citation, you need to add support with the latest punya review. Okay. Okay, and then another criteria of LR is to demonstrate your familiarity with the topic. Okay, kalau you perasan kan, when we want to do our literature review, we need to read the articles, of course. Okay, if not, then you don't have any ideas about those variables and whatnot. Okay? So once you start to read and then develop the themes for your literature review, then you will have an idea about the topic. Okay, in academic context. You know, or this is actually the perspective in academic context. Before this, perhaps mungkin you buat kesimpulan, you buat the ideas come actually based on your own experiences, okay, by your own observation, okay. But when you actually read the articles, you will have a very different perspective of those particular topics. So actually ini adalah untuk help you to be familiarized with your own topic too. By reading and then develop your literature review, you akan lebih tahu tentang you punya own research. Okay. Bukan nak cakap lah kita santai-santai lah, bukan nak cakap, tapi ramai yang participant personal coaching pun kadang-kadang datang bila tanya why you want to choose this theory, why actually these variables is in your literature review. I'm not sure lah, doktor. You know, this kind of thing. Rasa kalau duduk sebelah tu memang kena tarik telinga kan. Ala-ala je online. Okay, so this actually happens. Jadi, I said to those participants, please, you need to actually justify, at least justify why these variables. Kenapa variable ini? Okay, mesti you akan jumpa dekat mana-mana articles that mention about the importance, the significance of this variable. That's why you actually put these variables in your literature review and in your research. Ada lagi best jawapannya, oh sebab my supervisor suruh buat macam ni. Ini adalah jawapan yang akan sebenarnya membunuh diri sendiri dalam bilik viva. Okay, so please, the rule of thumb dia, don't mention about your supervisor. Supervisor saya suruh macam ni. Okay, ini adalah jawapan yang akan membunuh diri lah sebenarnya. So please be careful. Okay, and also it's demonstrate your knowledge of scholarly debates around the topic. Okay, by doing the literature review, it's actually an eye-opening lah kan, to see the argumentations, the debates topic among the scholars. For examples, like as I mentioned previously, kan, perhaps ada 5 scholars from 5 articles that agree with this perspective, but later on you find another articles that is actually contradict with the first perspective. So it is a very interesting topic for you to argue in your literature review. Okay, this strategy is actually agreed by many scholars, have been an effective strategies to enhance critical thinking among our students, higher education students. Okay, however, there are several authors that is actually not agree to these particular things due to this and that. So ini adalah literature review. You are putting the different perspective and then you argue accordingly and then you justify your own. Dekat mana you punya status based on the argumentation that you bring upon in your literature review. Dekat mana you punya research status. You agree, you tak agree, ataupun you are in the middle of nowhere. So that's why you need to do. It is very important for you to proceed with further research to make sure that this thing is actually in this point. So this is actually how you justify your literature review. Okay? Okay, previously I dah mention dengan Nadia, my slide will only be the important points and the relevant points only. Okay, but the explanations in depth and details, perhaps you need to take notes. Okay, but sometimes when I explain things, there is actually a relevant elaborations also to the points. Okay, jadi kena menulis lah pagi-pagi ni. Okay, so this is the terms that ramai yang allergic ni kan, tapi I need to write it down here also. Show how your research address a gap or contribute to the debate. Okay, some says gap. Okay, so gap is a gap. Okay, and how you want to contribute further based on this particular gap yang tidak tercapai di tengah-tengah itu. So in literature review, actually you need to showcase. This is actually the things that we need to do further in order to answer these few questions that is unanswered in previous studies. So that's why bila you buat literature review style macam ni dan bila reader baca, reader akan nampak ya, oh ya, ada keperluan untuk buat research ini. So literature review adalah the stage, the platform that you want to showcase your research and then you nak establish the importance of your research. Okay, in doing this thing. Later, I will show you the examples. Okay, develop a theoretical and conceptual framework and develop the methodology. Okay, so throughout the literature review, as you can see, I don't know, perhaps the format will be different a bit, okay, across the universities, but I think the standard one is actually almost the same, yeah. So in chapter 2 we'll have, sebab ada university yang theoretical conceptual dia dalam chapter 1 pun ada. Tapi more or less these are the things that we need to address in our research kan. To develop a theoretical or conceptual framework, of course you need to have these particular review activities. Okay, you need to review previous studies. Okay, and then tengok macam mana dia punya theoretical, apakah teori yang digunakan, what are the relevance of the elements, why they use these particular elements and this and that. Okay, and then how you want to emphasize in your research, how you want to use the same theory tapi with a bit of spice, nak tambahkan sikit pembaharuan, contributions, new contributions in your research. Okay, so in doing this, of course you can integrate the idea from several studies. Okay, you tak boleh dengar supervisor je, tak boleh. Okay, even though your supervisor bagi the idea, but you need to actually find the source. Okay, and then justify in your own words. Itu adalah kekuatan literature review. Bila kita buat literature review, kita confidence untuk justify why we choose this particular theory, why we choose this particular variables. Okay, and also It goes the same for methodology, okay? Because through literature review, then you know for sure that these are the methods that you want to use, and these are the justification why you choose this method, why this method is suitable to be implemented in your study and whatnot. Okay, so this is actually the crucial parts of literature review, and this is actually the contents, the major contents in your literature review. Jadi nanti lepas pada bengkel ni, tengok-tengok balik you punya literature review, ada tak this criteria? Ada tak you mention about this criteria in your literature review? If not, then you need to act accordingly. Okay, so habis basically about the literature review. Now, let us take a look at different types of approaches and also approaches of literature review. Okay, banyaklah kelas KWO saya, participants untuk personal coaching, participants untuk bengkel and whatnot kan. Sometimes and also the participants untuk PhD candidates and also masters. Bila I go through the proposals, bila I go through the theses, they are using the same styles. Jadi bila using the same styles, dia sama macam kita bercakap dengan monotonous. Ada macam you know, this kind of thing. So bila kita read the statement pun kita membaca dengan emosi yang sama. Dia bukan kata macam bila sampai kat tengah-tengah tu macam, oh okay, this is interesting. Oh kenapa orang ni tak setuju? Oh, orang ni setuju. Kenapa orang ni tak setuju? You know, ini emotion yang ada pada reader. Kalau you nak tahu emotion tu, you try after this bengkel, okay, you ask one of your friends proposal and then you read the literature review chapter. Nak tengok emotion you macam mana. Kan? And then praktiskan, baca literature review your friends. 2-3 orang kawan pun tak apa. And then test your emotion macam mana. You rasa macam kat mana yang macam tak sedap. Sebab bila kita baca our own literature review, kita tak rasa apa-apa. Sebab kita yang tulis. You know, kita sendiri yang tulis, kita nak kritik ourselves. Walaupun kita tahu memang tak berapa bagus literature review ni, tapi tak apalah, belasah je lah. You know, this kind of thing. So, in order for you to improve yourself, you need also to read others punya literature review. Okay, my experience kan, I baca literature review one of my friends lah from other universities, and then I said, wow, this is a very good literature review. Sebab bila I baca tu, I rasa the emotion tu tau. Emotion tu bukan apa, kita rasa macam, oh, tiba-tiba kat tengah-tengah tu dia macam bergaduh-bergaduh. Macam this thing happens, and then this thing come in between, you know. Rasa macam kita tengah baca satu novel yang action movie macam tu. Kan dia tengah bergaduh kat situ. But later on, they justify. So based on this, thus, however, you know, so kita mau cool down. Oh, okay. So this research is towards this perspective. Okay, so you need to feel that. All right, so now let us take a look. The types of literature review. Because the types of literature review ni, you can actually use in a different topic in your literature review chapter. Okay, not all the literature review is suitable to use systematic literature review. Sebab you tahulah systematic literature review ni, it is very technical. Okay, it is very technical. It's in details, you know, and then you actually showcase the paper that you review, and then you actually this and that. You are doing this and that. I think the latest method yang sekarang systematic literature review tu lagi complicated lah. I tengok NUNES tu tak ada that complicated pun. Okay, but anyway, it's not all the subtopic can be narratively stated. Cerita je kan, A cakap ni, B cakap ni, C cakap ni, D agree, you know, this kind of thing. So just narratively, dia akan jadi monotonous. Not all the subtopic ataupun not all the topics in the literature review can be argued. Nak bergaduh je, start daripada chapter sampai akhir chapter, bergaduh je, orang ni setuju, orang ni tak setuju, orang ni setuju. You know, it's tiresome. Dia akan jadi sangat penat. Okay, so means you need to creatively integrate the types of literature review in your writing. So perhaps the first subtopic, which is after introduction. Introduction usually kita akan introduce the structure of the thesis, the structure of the chapter. Sorry. 2.1, perhaps you want to mention about the you want to introduce about the history, for example. So the history of your research area. So you can use narrative. Okay, you can use narrative, storytelling lah, mengikut chronological. Tahun ini kemudian berkembang, kemudian dia berkembang lagi dengan pesat, this and that. Okay, so you can narratively use. But when we go further to 2.3, 2.4, perhaps you want to actually critiques and argue and justify. Okay, so please creatively integrate all these 5 types of literature review. Cuma systematic literature review ni, some of the subtopics suitable. Okay, some of it tak berapa nak suitable. Jadi be careful lah bila you come to systematic literature review. Okay, now first of all, let us take a look the narrative one, yeah. Okay, narrative is actually when you critique the literature and summarize the body of a literature. So means you tengok the statement from the previous studies and then you critiques, you bagi the ideas and then you summarize the key findings. Okay, dia tak ada macam agreement, disagreement, tak ada. Dia tak ada argumentative punya style kat situ. You are just telling the stories kat situ lah. Okay, and then for argumentative, the second types, you need to examine the literature selectively. This one dia kena ada planning sikit sebab kita nak kena plan which articles that agrees upon, which articles that contradict to the first perspective, and then which articles that have the second perspective in this particular thing. So kita kena selectively select the articles. Dia tak boleh main rambang ambil je. Dia kena plan. Dia kena plan tengok, oh this one is actually agree, this strategy is bagus. Tapi this one kata bagus, tapi dia kena tambah a few things because this and that. Yang kumpulan yang ketiga pula kata tak bagus dalam this setting. Supposedly kita kena introduce a new things, this and that. Okay, so ini adalah different perspective. So you need to plan for this argumentative. It's not as easy as narrative. Sebab bila kita bergaduh ni, dia kena ada seni, bukan bergaduh lah. Yang cakap bergaduh tu kan, sebab macam, yalah yang ni tak setuju, yang ni tak setuju, bergaduh lah kan. Tapi itu adalah argumentative lah. So means you need to have the seni also. Dia kena ada seni juga dalam presenting the ideas. Kan? Okay, number 3, systematic. Okay, systematic literature review ni dia comprehensive, dia in details, you review and then you actually review a very specific criteria. Okay, kalau you tengok the latest methodology of systematic literature review, dia memang ada a very specific one that you need to take yes or no kan. So those are the things, okay. But of course, at the end of the day, you need to answer the research questions. The purpose that you do at the systematic literature review. So we have 2 types here. I think most of us tahu sebab kita sekarang trend buat systematic literature review ni kan. Kita ada meta-analysis that using statistical data. Kita ada statistik punya data lah, I mean numberings, numerical kind of things. Okay, and then the second type is meta-synthesis, which is non-statistical. Usually people are doing qualitative style, thematic analysis, conversational analysis, narrative analysis, you know, this kind of thing, okay? Based on the content of the articles. It's not based on the data, numerical data of the articles. So dia ada 2 jenis. Okay, bila you buat systematic, kalau kata you nak present about the strategies, the activities ataupun the advantages, perhaps you may want to go with non-statistical, which is meta-synthesis. But if you want to refer to big data, you want to compare the significance levels and this and that, so perhaps you need to go with meta-analysis. As mentioned previously, this style is not really actually suitable for all types of topic in the literature review. Sorry. Okay, and then the next steps will be integrative. Okay, when we are talking about integrative, it is about the secondary data. Okay, dia bukan primary data. So kita akan critics and synthesize the secondary data about the research topic. Usually secondary data ni dia datang daripada secondary data lah, dia bukan daripada primary data of the research. Okay, so means for example, kalau saya bagi contoh mudah lah kan, I think all of you also understand about the secondary data. Katalah contohnya, I buat systematic literature review, okay, with regards to the big data, with regards to the employability, for example. And then you review my paper. Okay, review my paper and then you write down in the integrative punya styles. Okay, so means you review my data, which is means secondary data lah, sebab I dah review previous studies through my systematic literature review. Okay, and then you critiques my data tu tadi, and then you come to the new perspective, justify a framework, justify a new contributions, this and that. Okay, so itu adalah integrative. Kalau ada yang nak buat macam tu pun boleh, pun sangat menarik sebenarnya bila kita buat dalam literature review kita. Okay. And last but not least, kita ada theoretical. Sebenarnya types of literature review ni, you can see there are so many types based on the school of thought of the authors that write the types of the literature review. Okay, but I think more or less mungkin the terms that have been used is different, tapi the contents ataupun the definitions of each of the types lebih kurang sama. Okay, and then we have theoretical literature review. This one usually use in grounded theory analysis. Okay, so means if you want to come up with a new theory, for example, so you need to review the previous theoretical so that you want to find out what is actually the elements that is lacking here and there. Okay, so in theoretical literature review, kita focus on a pool of theory. Kita dah accumulatekan this particular theory yang ada related to our research topic. Okay, and then kita look in depth into the issues, into the advantages, into the weaknesses, into the strength of each of the theory, and kita compare. Okay, so by doing this, then kita tahu dekat mana kita nak kena improve for our new theory. Macam tu. So this one is theoretical lah. So usually grounded theory analysis using these particular types of literature review. Okay, alright, settle. Sorry lah saya ingat pula tuduh. Tadi ada meeting dengan JPT, so macam kelakabut sikit. Bila meeting dengan JPT ni dia ketuk-ketuk meja sikit. Jadi macam itulah kejadiannya di depan skrin. Okay, but anyway. Let us take a look the approaches in writing literature review. Sorry sebab I kena gerak-gerakkan this one. Kalau tidak, I tak nampak the screen behind. Letak sini aku. Gitu. Okay, tak apa. Okay, so we have 4 major approaches in writing literature review. First of all, chronological. Ingat you boleh integrate the types and the approaches. For example, you want to use narrative types of literature review and you want to use chronological approaches. You can integrate the approaches and the types of literature review. Okay, macam I mentioned previously kan, you nak cerita pasal history, for example sejarah Bandaraya Melaka, for example. So history you can actually use narrative kind of style. Okay, and when it comes to history, you nak cerita pasal perkembangan perdagangan dan sebagainya, you can use chronological. So chronological ni dia akan trace the development of the topic over the time. 1957 and then 1963 and then to the current time lah. So itu maksud dia chronological. Sama when it comes to the subject area. Okay, for example ada yang buat macam industri perbankan di Malaysia, bank kan. So kita buat development daripada first 1957 apakah jenis sistem bank yang digunakan. Okay, and then later on 10 years after that how is it. Okay, and now kita dah ada sistem perbankan yang bagaimana. So itu ikut chronological. So means you can integrate lah approaches and also the types. Okay. Alright. The second one is thematic. Thematic ni is actually the most common approaches in our literature review. We need to identify the themes to our subtopic. Maksudnya the themes of the structure lah of our literature review ni, themes ni maksudnya title lah dengan arti kata lain kan. Apa benda, the keywords that we want to talk in this paragraph. So we call it as a theme, tema dia. Kalau temanya adalah definition, then the whole paragraph is about definition lah. And then the second paragraph perhaps about the strategies. So the whole second paragraph and the whole third paragraph is about the strategies. So kita kena ada this particular theme so that your writing will focus on the themes. Tak adalah definition ayat pertama, yang kedua adalah strategi, ayat ketiga balik definition balik. So bila kita baca dia dah jadi bercampur-campur dah di idea in that particular words. Okay. Okay. Alright, so thematics ni organize your LR into subsection that address different aspects of the topic. So for each of the paragraph, please remind yourself to have the theme so that your idea will not jump here and there. So when we read your literature review, it's actually follow the flow. Kita tahu dah, ini cerita dia. Maksudnya atas tu definition, bawah strategies, bawah lagi approaches, bawah lagi teknik. So daripada general to specific themes. This is actually need to be arranged as early as now. Okay, as early as now tu maksudnya sebelum you write down your literature review, you need to arrange this topic first. Dulu kan, my experience with my previous my supervisor lah. Dia tanya macam mana dah writing? Dah siap dah sampai chapter 5. Dia betul juga, biar betul tu awak dah siap sampai chapter 5. Topik je lah. Sebab I dah susun siap-siap tema tu. Tema-tema sub-team tu semua kan. I spent for about 1 week, I found the themes. So from chapter 1 until chapter 5 tu, I dah ada dah tema-tema apa yang I nak masukkan. I mean the subtopic lah, the topic and the subtopic. We call it as a themes, okay? Alright, so methodological approaches. Okay, this one is actually always used when we want to justify our methods. Okay, for examples like you want to actually try out a new method. You want to try to combine a new method together. So of course you need to justify in your literature review. Okay, if not then kalau guna a very normal one macam quantitative, survey, questionnaire, this one you don't have to justify lah dalam you punya methodological in literature review. Okay, but for examples like in my research, okay, my research is developmental research. So in my research, I want to try out the new things, which is I combine these two types of developmental research in one research. So of course I need to justify what is actually the relevance, why I want to why I want to combine and integrate these two particular types of developmental research in one research. Jadi dia agak kritikal lah kat situ. So I need to do a literature review, in-depth literature review about my methodological. Okay, so based on my experience, my method lah yang it took for about 2.5 hours to argue about my methods. Sebab my method so is a new method which is combine new things kan. Jadi kita kena ada lah the methodological approaches in literature review. Okay, if not then you don't have to have these particular things. Okay, theoretical. Theoretical is actually approximately the same things that I've explained before. Maksudnya approaches of theoretical ni kita look into the pool of theory tadi. Okay, so theoretical ni actually kita pun buat. Walaupun kita tak buat grounded theory, but we use the theoretical approach. Okay, when it comes to theory related to studies. Okay, so you need to explain about your theories kan, and then of course you need to justify why you choose these particular theories to be highlighted ataupun to be established in your research. Okay, so this one is actually we use in our literature review, even though our study is not grounded theory. Okay, all right. So these are the approaches, 4 major approaches, which you can integrate with the types of literature review here. Okay, if you want to use a thematic approaches, but you want to use argumentative style, then yeah, you boleh buat. Okay, because you can integrate approaches and the types. Later in your research design, perhaps you can explain the integrating of the approaches and also the types of literature review. Kalau perlu, kalau tak perlu, tak perlu. Okay. So habis sampai di situ. If you have any questions, then you can ask the questions, ya. Sorry lah, tak sempat nak berkenalan dengan participants. Nanti kalau ada any questions, saya nampak macam gelap sikit lah my lighting hari ni. Kenapa? What happened lah? Tak apalah kan Nadia?
Okey je doktor.
I pula macam tak puas hati pula. Kenapa gelap pula? Not sure. Okay. So, alright, so this is the critical part. I really hope that you can bear with me and then follow the steps on how to develop things. Kalau dah ada pun literature review and then you dah ada topics, the contents, saya confident all of you dah ada benda tu. But please review back. Okay, either your themes ataupun subtopic in your literature review tu portray you punya title of the thesis ataupun research, ya. Alright, so the ones that I will highlighted in this particular slide will be thematic approach because nama dia pun develop themes. So approach yang kita guna adalah thematic approaches. Kita tak pakai chronological, kita tak pakai chronological, theoretical, methodological. Kita pakai thematic approaches, ya. Okay, so these are the examples of the structure of the chapter 2. Okay, for examples, ya, ini adalah example je tau, tapi later you boleh reflect to your literature review chapters lah. Okay, for examples, ya, I have my introduction, I have biology curriculum, I have problem posing, I have multimedia, I have lots versus hots, DDR, theory related to studies, theoretical framework, conceptual framework, and conclusion. So all of this we call it as a themes. Dalam thematic approach lah sebenarnya dia adalah topik kepada kita punya chapter. Okay, now based on my experience coaching candidates, masters and PhDs and also my own students dekat UiTM pun, it's a bit problematic bila kita nak determine apa yang kita kena cakap dalam literature review. What are the topics that we need to cover in literature review? Gitu. Because sometimes it will be extraneous materials. Terlalu banyak sangat untuk di cover. Tak tahulah doktor, I think I nak cover this and this. So I ask them, okay, this one is actually related to your studies or not? Oh, dia tak adalah related sangat, but I really need to cover that because dia ada dalam buku teks, for example. Okay, but it's not related to my studies. So sometimes it's tiresome juga bila kita pergi kepada literature review tu kan. There's a lots of things that is not related to the studies, but they actually give a lots of things in the literature review. Okay, adequate is good. Maksudnya cukup. Tapi jangan berlebih-lebihan, out of the boundaries, beyond you punya studies. Okay, kurang tak bagus. Cukup-cukup bagus. Lebih sikit better. Okay, tapi kalau berlebih-lebihan itu tak bagus. Okay, so now how you want to actually develop these particular themes, the basic themes lah, based on your title, and make sure that all the themes ataupun all the topics that you cover in literature review portray your research title. Okay, and later on you nak tambah sikit-sikit, nak tambah accessory sikit, it's okay. Tapi the basic things that portray your title compulsory kena ada dalam you punya literature review. Okay, so I'm sharing with you today how we want to develop the themes. Okay, all right. So this will be actually, I summarize lah the steps to develop the themes in literature review. Yeah. Okay, first of all, of course, you need to review your title. Okay, title ni sometimes people say that awal-awal kan title ni pun tak determine lagi. Dia macam working title. It's okay. The working title is okay. Okay, so means perhaps you need to enhance later on. You need to add on a little bit this and that. It's okay. Okay, but more or less the title ataupun the working title tu dah actually portray you punya research. Of course, dah ada variables, major variables and whatnot. Tambah 1-2 variables, it's okay later on. Okay, so means perhaps first of all, before you do your literature review, you kena solid with your title first. Title tu dah kena portray lah, dia tak boleh nak buat apa? Oh, nak buat digitalized learning. Okay, menarik. So what is your title? Oh, tak decide lagi. So bila tak decide lagi means literature review tak boleh go on lagi. Okay, because literature review ni they need this particular structure of the title for your thesis. Okay, so first of all kita review the title. Nanti I tunjuk the examples ya, no worries. And then in the title kita highlightkan kita punya IV and DV because this one is actually the most important things. Okay, kalau untuk qualitative studies perhaps they don't have this particular IV, DV and whatnot. So just highlight the keywords that you want to find out in your research. Okay, sometimes qualitative ni dia ada variables tapi dia tak define it as independence, dependence, dia tak define sebagai moderator, mediator, you know, this kind of thing. Okay, so for qualitative studies you just identify the variables ataupun the factors that you want to find out in your study, that you want to discuss in your study. Okay, all right, and then later on when you highlight those things, your subject area, your variables, your key findings, perhaps, okay, bukan key findings, I mean the keywords kat dalam your title, okay, you need to arrange those particular things that have been highlighted in your title from a general area to the specific area. Okay, kita ada dalam kita punya title tu dia mesti ada a general area. Let me show you an example later on, ya. Okay, so from those particular susunan, okay, kita akan develop the structure of our literature review. So perhaps you can open your literature review right now ataupun get a piece of paper and then write down your title. Okay, and then later on kita buat sama-sama how to highlight and then how to structurize the themes. Okay, and then ini yang saya buat tak ada siapa-siapa ajar saya pun, tapi saya buat ini. Jadi saya nak share lah with all of the participants today. What I did for my PhD juga, macam ni lah saya buat. Okay, because I'm actually blurred a little bit. I'm macam lost in the middle of nowhere, what is actually I would suppose I write in those particular themes. Bila dah ada tema-tema yang utama tu, the sub-theme tu, apa kita nak tulis? So what I did is, I read the articles and then I imitate their subtopic. I imitate the themes that they mention in their articles as my sub-theme. Dalam saya punya tema yang utama tu. Okay, later kita tengok Okay, for examples. Okay, so this is my title. My examples title I buat kat sini. Development of problem posing multimedia module and its effectiveness to enhance students' performance in biology subject. I ambil this title lah sebab I nak ambil your title kan. Mungkin lepas ni you boleh tunjuk you punya title. And then tunjuk what is your results from this particular activities. Okay, so we have the title here. Okay, obviously, saya akan bawa you go through this ya. Dan mungkin saya kena, bolehlah. Sorry, sekejap saya kena cari pen saya sekejap. Okay. Okay. So, first of all, in your title, okay, you need to find your subject area. Subject area ni maksudnya bidang kajian tu, because bidang kajian is a very general one. Okay, for example, your bidang kajian is banking. So banking is your subject area. For example, your bidang kajian is yearly report in wakaf, for example. So wakaf tu will be your subject area. For example, that development of the chips, chip saya tak ingat ada satu tajuk tu, in engineering dekat JKR, for example ya. So engineering area tu adalah you punya ni. The development of a new beam with regards to the building in Malaysia, for example. So development beam tu adalah you punya subject area. Okay, so now please prepare with your title in front of you and then identify your subject area. As of in my title ni, okay, my subject area will be the biology subject. Okay, sebab my research will be in biology subject. So this will be my subject area. Okay, boleh Okay, so now please underline or determine what is your subject area. Write it down, write it down. Jangan macam pakai khayal dalam ni, tak boleh. Nanti tak boleh dapat the structure. Okay, so write it down. Okay, so we have the biology subject is a subject area. Minta maaf lah, tulisan tu memang cita-cita dulu nak jadi doktor, tapi tak kesampaian. Doktor perubatan, tak kesampaian. Jadi buruk berbenar lah tulisan tu. Okay, but anyway, so we have our subject area here. And then later, please identify your variables, okay? Ataupun untuk qualitative study, please identify your factors, the key factors that you want to discuss in your research. Okay, so as of for this title that I showed in my screen, my first variable will be problem posing and multimedia module. Okay, this one will be my independent variables. Okay. Whereas my next variables will be the student's performance. Okay, because I want to see either this particular problem posing and multimedia kind of things ni boleh tak enhance the student's performance kan? So my student's performance will be dependent variable. Okay, and then with regards to this, the performance tu I pecahkan pula kepada lots and hots, lower order thinking skills and higher order thinking skills. So that also can be the highlighted ataupun the themes in our literature. Okay, so if you have any sub variables underneath your variables, okay, for example, katalah you buat employee performance. Okay, so bawah employee performance tu katalah dia ada dia punya KPI dia lah kan, dia punya funding, dia punya publication, you know, this kind of thing. So funding, publication tu dia boleh jadikan sebagai the themes in your literature review too. Okay, if you have that, then list down dekat you punya writing right now. Okay. And then if you notice, okay, my study is development study. So perhaps because of my nature of the study is development, and I want to actually integrate I want to combine two types of development study in my research. So perhaps I need to highlight the development ni dalam my literature review. Sebab nak justify kenapa nak buat benda baru ni. So we need to justify in our literature review. Okay? Right, so more or less dia akan jadi macam ni. Okay. Kalau ada anything else that you need to highlight, then highlights. And then you need to actually put it in hierarchy. Which one is more general, which one is more specific in terms of you punya research. Okay, later on, after kita dah identify these particular things, okay, dia punya, what we call that, dia punya rules of thumb adalah kena arrange from general to specific. Ini adalah standard practice, means in any chapters kan, in any chapters of your writing and whatnot, bila you write pun kan, write down your problem statement ke, research background ke, of course you need to arrange your points from general to the specific one. Okay, jadi makin ke dalam, makin ke dalam. Okay, so this is actually the rules of thumb dia, pyramid ni lah. Pyramid terbalik ni. Sorry, pyramid balik ni. Okay, so based on this, you as a researcher, you je boleh decide untuk your topic. Okay, but for my topic, the subject area selalunya for every topic, the subject area will be the most general themes of all. Sebab subject area kita tu adalah payung kepada kita punya research dekat bawah. Okay, so of course you need to talk about the subject area first. Dia tak boleh masuk-masuk literature review je terus problem posing. No, we need to actually introduce our subject area first. Okay, so in my case, biology subject will be my subject area. So I rank it number 1 lah. Kenapa my pen tak? Sabar. So I letak number 1. Ingat daripada general to specific. Okay, so subject area will be the most general one. So it will be ranked number 1. Okay, and then perhaps I want to showcase my problem posing first, which is my variable, independent variable first. This depends actually how you want to explain those things. Sometimes I tengok dalam literature review ada yang letak dependent variable dulu. Tapi I don't really into that because I think independent variables need to be taught first, need to be discussed first. Then later on kita cerita pasal the factors that depends on these particular variables. Okay, so I always put my independent variable before my dependent variables in literature review. Okay, so kita pun letak kat sini problem posing. Okay. And then my second independent variables, okay, which is multimedia. And then I put my dependent variables, which is students' performance. Will be the most specific one lah, which is the things that you want to measure, the things that you want to observe at the end of your study. So itu adalah benda yang paling specific in your research. Itulah you punya starnya. So put it at the last. Kan selalu kita cakap kan, hero dia tak datang awal, hero dia datang lambat. Macam tengok cerita Tamil tu kan. I suka tengok cerita Tamil tu. Tapi the thing is, I recognize the pattern. Hero tu memang selalunya berlaku di akhir cerita. Kan, mula-mula kena tumbuk dulu sampai lembik lah hero tu. Tiba-tiba dia boleh bangun dengan gagahnya dan lawan everyone dekat situ. So itu adalah hero kita. So put it at last point. Okay. Alright, so this one is from general to specific. When you actually recognize this pattern, means you dah selamat dah. Standard basic one that portray your title dah selamat. So in dalam literature review, all the variables and all the themes that should portray your title dah selamat. Semua dah ada dalam literature review. Okay, so if you want to add on after that, you can do that. But at least you dah dapat dah the idea on how to develop your subtopic ataupun topik in literature review that is actually cover you punya research title. Sebab based on my experience, ada yang ada student performance dalam dia punya title, tapi dalam literature review nowhere can be found dia punya students performance. So this is actually quite frustrating lah kan, because this one is actually basic things that you need to be covered in your literature review. Okay, so once kita dah dapat this arrangement, kita pun masukkanlah dalam kita punya structure of chapter 2. So this is how I put in the structure lah, which is the first one that I show you. Okay, so kita ada introduction. This one is compulsory. Ini tak payah cari dalam tema lah. Introduction is compulsory for the chapter. Each chapter need to have introduction. So this one where you actually showcase you punya structure of the chapters. And then I put it as biology curriculum, okay, which is my general subject area tadi. And then further with problem posing, further with multimedia, and then I put it in biology, okay, because my subject area is biology curriculum. And then my students' performance, I guna lots and hots instead of students' performance. But student performance tu dia macam tak unique kat situ, kan? So I guna lots versus hots. So perhaps in this particular topic, I will actually explain about what is actually lots, what is actually hots, and how it's actually implemented in the classroom. Okay, and then since my study tadi di development tu, so I'm talking about DDR here. Okay, which is dah ke selepas students performance. Okay, so it's more specific lah sebab that one is methodology. Okay, and then this one sebenarnya memang compulsory in chapter 2. Depends ya, depends in your school. Dekat mana theoretical framework and conception framework is actually showcased in the chapters. Okay, some of universities actually showcase this one in chapter 1, so you can do it so. But of course, you nak letak dalam chapter 1, you need to go through your literature review first. Alright, so 2.7 theory related to studies, ini adalah standard, memang kena ada. Theoretical framework of the study, conceptual framework of the study. Okay, and then conclusion. Okay, so more or less, kita dah arrange the themes according to our title, dan our title semua anything that we actually mention in our title dah cover in our literature review, so you are safe. Kalau you nak add, you can add accordingly. Okay. Alright. So please recheck your structure. Ada tak anything left behind based on your research title? Mungkin in the chat box, you can write down your title and then put the structure, ataupun mungkin kita boleh panggil seorang untuk present the screen kalau you ada the screen. Later lah kalau ada. Boleh ke Nadia? Just nak tunjuk satu contoh that they actually grasp how we actually want to develop the themes.
Doktor boleh insyaAllah.
Boleh. Okay, so yes, please. Any volunteers lah later on, kita mungkin boleh after this class kan, mungkin kita boleh, bukan after this class, I mean later on selepas kita habis this one, then perhaps any volunteers that you want to show, then I boleh review terus lah dia punya structure, either it is aligned or not with the title. Okay, so hopefully we can do so. Alright, habis okay, next, bila kita dah dapat the main structure of the literature review, okay, the idea is why actually I'm doing so. Macam ni bila I buat PhD, I buat macam ni, kenapa tau? Because I don't know actually what articles that I need to read. Based on my title tadi kan, kita dapat title macam ni, kita buat title tu, kita develop the titles with our supervisor and whatnot, and then sekarang kita buat literature review, apa yang kita nak kena cari? Apa yang kita nak kena baca? Kan? So, bila I dapat this structure, I know for exact what I need to find. Okay, for example, like my first theme, biology curriculum. So, I tahu I nak cari apa dekat dalam Google, ataupun I tahu nak cari apa dekat dalam dokumen. So, I need to find out about biology curriculum, the structure mungkin, the what we call that, the skills that emphasize in biology curriculum, the scientific skills, this and that about the curriculum. So kita dapat macam satu insight what is actually the topics ataupun the keywords that we want to write in the searching article. That's why ini adalah penting. Kalau kita tak buat macam ni, kita tak tahu apa artikel yang kita nak cari. Focus on what? Okay, right. So now, based on this theme, I pun carilah problem posing. I type lah dalam Mendeley ke, dalam Google Scholars ke kan, or any search engine. Then I pun type problem posing as in general. Okay, now the thing is, after kita dapat kita punya major subtopic, major topic, major themes, macam mana kita nak develop the themes underneath this particular major theme? Bawah problem posing ni takkan 2.3 je. 2.3.1, 2.3.2, how we want to develop the sub-themes for these particular themes. Okay, so what I did is, okay, based on the major themes, which is problem posing, kita dah tahu dah kita nak cari problem posing. Today, Saturday, salah hari dah. Okay, today, Saturday, kita nak cari about problem posing dulu. So you can structureize lah you punya writing tu. Let's say you start dekat problem posing, you boleh cari pasal theoretical framework dulu sebab you dah ada dah the structure. Kalau the structure pun tak clear lagi, then it's very challenging for you to write your literature review. Okay, so for example, Saturday kita nak cari problem posing, kita nak recognize apakah the sub themes dalam problem posing that we can actually implement in our research, right? So what I did is I find the article similar to the topic problem posing lah. Nanti dia keluar lah kan di articles and whatnot. Okay. And then I pick the articles, perhaps 2 or 3 articles yang very similar to the topics. Maksudnya problem posing to enhance critical thinking. Maksudnya adalah tu benda-benda yang macam tu to enhance student performance. Tak kisahlah the area tu kan, tapi dia kena ada related to the topics, which is problem posing I using dekat secondary school for examples. Okay, sebab nak cari dalam biology subject tu memang kita tak dapat exact lah. Okay, and then based on the articles kita study the sub themes. Mungkin bukan the sub themes pun, tapi the keywords that pop up in the paragraph of the articles. Okay, so kita imitate the themes. Okay, for example, let me show you. Kat mana dah dia duduk? Bukan. Perhaps I need to end the show first. Okay, for examples, katalah I pun type lah problem posing ya dekat what we call that, dekat Mendeley ke any search engine ya. And then I pun jumpalah this particular articles. Ni I dah prepare lah, siap-siap kan untuk this bangkil kan. Konon-konon lah okay, find the articles. Alright, so first articles, this one for examples. Okay, meanings given to algebraic symbolism in problem posing. Nampak kita ada problem posing kat sini. Because the idea is kita type problem posing je. So means dia akan keluar lah the general articles about the problem posing kan, not specific to our topics too. Okay, so for example, the second articles, I found that interlock problem posing and children's problem posing performance in free structured situations. So of course lah ada problem posing kat sini. So it is closely related to our topics. Okay, and then perhaps the third articles, kita jumpa the effect of problem posing. Okay, cantik lah kan. Tapi this one is on the attitudes, but it's okay sebab ada problem posing kat sini. Okay, so based on these articles, kita go through, jangan baca kulit ke kulit lagi. Kita go through je. Kita go through the abstract, okay, kita go through this and that, okay, and then kita nampak introduction. Usually dia akan ada satu topik untuk problem posing ni sebab itu adalah dia punya showcase kan. Jadi kita cari, boleh juga nak kalau guna Mendeley tu dia boleh type problem posing. Saya tak boleh nak buka Mendeley saya sebab Mendeley saya dah macam mogok dah. Desktop tu kan, dia tak boleh dah buka dah. So I'm so sorry about that. But of course you can search here lah. Okay, you can search here and then you boleh letak problem posing. And then carilah kat artikel tu kan. So, nampaklah, the awareness. Boleh juga tu nak buat the awareness with regards to problem posing. For example, saya cakap je. Okay, and then perhaps kita boleh go through lagi. Moreover, we decided that they should have some knowledge about problem posing to avoid the novelty of the problem, this and that. Thus, being an issue. Mungkin kita boleh cakap issue in problem posing in biology curriculum, for example. Okay, so ini adalah the themes that we can actually imitate. Okay, so kita go through lagi the articles. Tak ada dah. Nampak kita boleh tengoklah the art of problem posing, ada topik-topik dekat sini kan. But the thing is, the idea is to go through the articles and then find some keywords that we can actually imitate as our sub-themes. For example, katalah sebelum kita start problem posing for introduction, ada tak dicerita pasal definition? Okay. So kita ada definition. So mungkin 2.3.1 kita nak cerita pasal definition of problem posing. Ataupun nampak tak ada satu themes, categories. So mungkin kita nak cerita pasal categories of problem posing. So this is actually quite helpful lah untuk kita bina kita punya sub-themes. Okay, so let's go to the structure. Okay, let's go to the structure. Ada problem posing tadi kan? 2.3. So kita pun masukkan based on the themes ataupun based on the keywords yang kita dapat daripada artikel, so kita pun letak kat sini. Issues in problem posing ataupun boleh. And then lepas tu categories of problem posing. Kan? Ataupun tak nak buat isu tadi, kita ada definition. So mula-mula kita letak definition dulu kat sini. Definition of problem posing. Okay, and then issues perhaps last kali. Dapat dah lah. Kita punya sub-theme. Jangan fikir lagi the content, tapi kita bina dulu the structure. Okay? Okay ke tak ni? Relevant atau tidak? Bawa structure ni, discuss dengan supervisor. Is it okay? The flow? Supervisor kata, oh, I rasa kena tambah lah. Mungkin you kena letak problem posing strategies. Oh, iyalah. Okay, mungkin kita boleh letak kat sini. Supervisor pun kata, tambahlah kat sini. Kita pun tambah. Kenapa jadi macam ni? Letak tepi dulu this one. Okay, so kita pun tambah kat sini. 2.3.3 should be problem posing strategies. Contoh. So the structure that you have, you can discuss with a supervisor, even though tak ada apa. Selalu saya dengar student cakap, I'm afraid to see my supervisor because I don't have any progress. So this small progress could be the discussions with your supervisor. Nak jumpa sekejap, nak discuss about the themes. You know, small progress pun can be discussed with your supervisor. Sebenarnya alasan kita nak jumpa dia je lah kan. Okay, but anyway, these are the things. Okay, so perhaps with this particular structure, you can have a full discussion with your supervisors and then can develop your complete themes for your literature review. So inilah the idea dia. Okay, so I really hope that you can make it use lah these particular strategies untuk develop the structures in the literature review. Okay, later perhaps I need one participants untuk showcase the structure of the literature review. Jangan tunjuk chapter literature review tu, tapi tunjuk the structure ni. Buat dalam satu slide PowerPoint pun tak apa. Mungkin I bagi dalam 5 minutes later on, you can transfer your writing kepada PowerPoint ya. Okay, settle that one. So begitulah kita dapatkan the structure. Kenapa it is crucial for us to get the idea of the structure first? Based on my explanation previously, kan? If you don't have this particular title, okay, you tak tahu apa benda. You tak tahu what is actually you want to write down in your literature review, then you tak tahu macam mana nak cari artikel. So at least when you get the ideas that, oh, I need to talk about definition here. So when you go to Mendeley or other search engine, kan, you boleh type je problem posing definition. So means dia akan keluar the articles that related to definitions of problem posing. Okay, so means you can have a pool of articles to actually discuss about the definition. So mungkin dalam definition ni you nak guna narrative punya style pun boleh, tak ada masalah. Tak payah argue pun, kan? So means you just tell a story. So these are the definitions. Okay, perhaps kita ada different definitions too from this particular perspective, this and that. 3 paragraph cukup lah. Macam tu. Okay, so at least bila ada these particular things, the themes, strategies, issues, then you have another keywords for you to put and then search for the specific article that will help you with the writing process. These are the ideas. Okay, daripada kita duduk berangan, nak tulis apa nak cari apa kan, kita pun carilah suka-suka kita kan. Maksudnya tidak ada fokus on which types of article, apa artikel yang kita nak cari. Jadi itu akan sangat sebenarnya menjadi burden kepada kita as a writer. Okay, so this will help. hopefully. Okay, so habis about the structure. Okay, any questions sampai sini? Ada soalan ke?
Okay, Doktor, there are one question from Miss Akma.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum, Doktor. Apa beza theoretical and conceptual framework?
Okay.
And another question, nak baca terus ke atau Doktor nak jawab dulu?
Boleh baca terus pun tak apa Nadia.
Okay. From Miss Noliza. Assalamualaikum, Doktor. Kajian saya mengenai design and development hasilkan apps menggunakan AR. Saya relate AR. So AR saya kait dengan teori kognitif pembelajaran multimedia. Untuk rubrik, boleh ke saya relate dengan teori pendidikan secara general iaitu constructivism?
Oh, okay. Untuk teori related to studies tu
Dengan teori pendidikan secara
okay.
general.
Okay, alright. Okay, so I answer the first question first, yeah. Okay, so first question is about theoretical framework and also conceptual framework. Okay, good questions. Usually students akan tend untuk confuse with these things kan. Okay, theoretical framework ni kalau saya boleh tunjukkan contoh, I open the examples teruslah, so that senang kita nak tengok. Jaya. Oh, kat mana nak open example lepas tu lupa. Macam biasalah hari Sabtu kan. We actually at UiTM just finish our marking. So lecturers at this moment macam pening-pening lalat sikit sebab baru habis marking macam tu. Jadi maafkanlah saya ya. Okay, so let us take a look. Wait. I think kat sini kot. Okay. Okay. So we're talking about theoretical framework. Theoretical framework usually is the framework of the theory that come from the original author. For example, the second question tadi about CTML kan. Saya pun guna CTML kebetulan. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so for example, like our second friends tadi are using CTML for her AR punya apps. Okay, so the theoretical framework that should be established in the theoretical framework section is the CTML and also another theory of constructivism ke tadi yang our friends mentioned previously tu kan. So those will be the theoretical framework. Katalah you pakai 3 teori dan 3 teori inilah you punya theoretical framework. Tidak ada any new elements added to that particular theory yet. Itu theoretical framework. The original framework from the author. Katalah this one is from Mayer and Moreno. I tak ambil daripada Mayer. I ambil Mayer and Moreno 2002. So this is actually the original framework from Mayer and Moreno. So I establish it as my theoretical framework. Sebab I nak refer to this particular framework untuk develop my conceptual framework. Okay, yang kita own adalah conceptual framework. Theoretical framework is from the previous author. However, Mayer and Moreno said about CTML, that will be your framework for theoretical. Okay, you tak boleh add any elements on the theoretical framework. Itu kalau basically tengok, I lupa dah. Allahu Akbar. Saya lupa the writer. I think I lupa the writer. Tapi ada satu paper tu yang what we call that argue about theoretical framework and conceptual framework. Tak apa, nanti I found the articles and then perhaps I will inform Nadia later on. Okay, cuma dia kata clear cut, right? Theoretical framework is actually the theory from the original author. So okay, kadang-kadang framework ni dia tak datang dalam framework macam ni. Mayer and Moreno memang dia datang dengan framework yang begini. Dia dah susun siap-siap narration, words, this and that. Okay, the sequence and whatnot. Okay, but sometimes when you read the framework, the theory from the original author, they can also explain just in paragraph. Dia cerita je dalam paragraph. Okay, first of all, based on this theory, okay, students need to do this and that. Okay, but later on, the knowledge will develop based on their own experience. Dia cerita sahaja narratively in the paragraph. So you as a researcher, you can use that paragraph as actually your theoretical framework, ataupun kalau you creative based on the explanations of the original author, you develop lah. You develop the framework, you create the sequence of the framework tu and mention it as your theoretical framework. Tapi kita tak ubah apa-apa. Itu memang daripada original author. Itu maksud theoretical framework. Sebab teori ni bukan daripada kita. Kita tak develop teori. Okay, teori itu kita memang fokus ataupun kita memang basiskan daripada previous author. Daripada yang dah memang established teori, constructivist teori, social behaviorism teori, apa lagi? Kan, CTML teori, cognitive load theory, conceptual change theory. So all the theories are established theory, dah memang terbukti daripada pertinent author. So kita tak develop theory. So means theoretical framework must come from the original author. Okay, what is the differences between conceptual framework? Okay, ini theoretical framework daripada original author. Now, conceptual framework is like this. This is my first theory. Yeah, daripada Mayer and Moreno. Narration, words, this and that. Okay, and then I embed ataupun I integrate CTML theory dengan problem posing punya elements. So I as researcher kena decide lah dekat mana I nak masukkan problem posing tu dalam teori yang asal, iaitu teori Mayer tadi. Okay, so I integrate the teori dekat sini. Alright, and then I visualizekan dalam my conceptual framework. Okay, and then at the end of the day, bila I integrate CTML dengan problem posing, what I want to measure? Apa yang I nak tengok at the end of my research? Which is our dependent variables. Kan yang kita dah highlight dalam title kita tadi. So at the end of the day, yang kita nak observe adalah our dependent variables. So dependent variables must actually visualize in our conceptual framework. So this is my IV and this is my DV, which is students performance tadi tu. So under students performance, I nak tengok lots, hots and conceptual change. Okay, so when actually bila examiner tanya what is your research, your conceptual framework ni akan explain. Dia akan explainkan your research, the whole research. So more or less conceptual framework ni adalah the integration of the new elements in the theory that you choose to be used in your study, and also the relationship with your variables. Dalam conceptual framework ni you kena establish which one is your variables, which one is your theory, first theory, second theory, and what is actually you want to observe. So overall of the research is actually visualized, presented in your conceptual framework. Jadi itu dia punya differences. Okay, kalau you notice memang banyak beza lah. When we go back to our theoretical, it's from the original author. Okay, conceptual framework is when we integrate another elements, another theory in our original theory tadi, and also kita establishkan the relationship between the variables di dalam kita punya study. Apa yang kita nak observe? Kita punya IV apa? Kita punya DV apa? Kita punya results apa? So these are the things that kena integrate dalam conceptual framework. Okay? So adakah saya menjawab soalan Akmar tadi? Akmar ke tadi, Nadia?
Betul ya. Daripada Miss Noliza. Sorry. Yang first Akmar.
Am I answering your question? Jelas ke, Miss Akmar? Mungkin nanti boleh explain. Kalau ada soalan lagi, kalau rasa kurang jelas lagi, boleh tanya lagi. No worries. Okay, the second question is from Miss Noliza tadi . Okay, the questions I believe, boleh ke kita embedkan sekali the theory of education kan? Teori pendidikan secara general. Jawapan saya boleh. Okay, contoh you nak develop the apps. Macam saya lah, saya develop courseware. You nak develop the apps using CTML punya teori. Okay, and then you nak embedkan the strategies tu, pembelajaran tu mungkin masa students berbincang, student buat aktiviti, student buat aktiviti dalam kelas tu kan, you nak use constructivist theory. more capable peer, nak discuss in group kan, and then this and that. Okay, so you nak embedkan constructivist theory dalam you punya CTML. Boleh, tak ada masalah. Sebab memang itu pun the basis. Bila kita develop apps ke courseware ke in the name of module kan, untuk learning, teaching and learning, kita mesti ada teori untuk instruction. CTML tu adalah teori untuk multimedia development. Okay, tapi untuk instruction, pengajaran tu kita kena ada another theory yang kita boleh jadikan guideline untuk kita develop the activities and also the teaching activities. Okay, so boleh, tak ada masalah. CTML integrate dengan constructivist and then showcasekan you punya dependent variables, what you want to observe. Attitudes, student motivation and whatever it is yang you nak observe dekat belakang tu, jadikan you punya conceptual framework. Okay, so I really hope that I'm answering the second question.
Okay, Doktor, from Miss Akmal tadi, terima kasih Doktor, well explained.
Okay, alright. So
we have one question from Miss Farhana.
Okay.
Salam Doktor, boleh Doktor bagi contoh untuk writing tentang gap?
Oh, untuk writing target, tak sabar ni. Sekejap lah, 2 minit. Okay, yes, we will come to that. Okay, we'll come to that because you tak masuk lagi how to write your LR tadi tu. We'll come to that and I really hope that bila I go through this writing, then you know how to actually mention about the gap. Okay, alright, sabar. Okay. So, this is the gist. This is the gist of today's workshop. How to write your LR. Kat sinilah kadang-kadang kita rasa macam kita dah okay writing the LR, review the studies, you know. Tapi bila it comes to the reader, dia rasa macam alah, kurang critical lah. Tolong tulis dengan critical. Tapi yang parahnya dia tak cakap macam mana kita nak tulis secara critical kan. Dia komen je, oh it's not critical enough. How to write critically? Tak ada komen. Okay, so now let us go through how we want to actually write a critical literature review. Okay. Now, first of all, ini adalah reminder lah. Avoid a descriptive summary in your literature review. Okay, so this is this is not a literature review. This is more or less a review of literature. Kita review je, and then kita restate, kita paraphrase. Okay, for example, like according to Rahima, this and that. At the same time, Ila stated that this and that. Additionally, Nizal suggested this and that. So, agree with this and that. Okay, so itu adalah macam kita buat descriptive summary of the opinions ataupun statement from the previous author. So, please avoid this in your writing of literature review. Okay, kita nak write critically. Jadi, the structure of literature review, first of all, I introduce you the structure. You need to have at least 3 sections. Ini adalah standard practice in writing. You nak write in your blog ke, you nak write in your Facebook ke, you nak write in your karangan ke kan? We need to have introduction, we need to have the body of the literature, and we need to have the conclusion ataupun penutup, closing lah for that particular topic. Okay, so introduction ni usually in this paragraph kita tak start argue lagi, kita tak start lagi lah argumentation and what not, tak ada. Kita akan start each of the paragraph tu, I mean each of the subtopic, for example like problem posing tadi kan, kita nak masuk dalam strategies for example. So buka-buka je, kita tak terus problem posing strategies is actually not agreed by this, tak. Kita akan introduce dulu. Okay, so actually in introduction paragraph, a very brief dalam 5 sentences macam tu, okay, should clearly establish the focus and the purpose of the literature review under this topic. So katalah topik kita problem posing strategies. So for introduction punya paragraph, kita kena establish dulu this topic ataupun this paragraph ataupun this literature review will cover ataupun focus on the strategies. Okay, due to the strategies in problem posing ni ada multiple, ada banyak, ada varieties of this and that and that. So kita introduce dulu the focus and establish the purpose of our literature review later on. Okay, alright. And then the second paragraph you can go to the body of the literature. Okay, so dalam body ni lah kita kena summarize, synthesize the ideas, analyze, critically evaluate. So the body ni boleh ada 3-4 paragraph, tak ada masalah. For example, like you found in the articles, you ada nampak macam ada 3 different strategies of problem posing. Saya refer to the examples sebab tak nak bagi confuse. Okay, so first paragraph of the body, kita cerita pasal first strategy. Second paragraph, second strategy. The third paragraph adalah third strategy. So body ni dia boleh ada 3 to 4 paragraph. Okay, and then last but not least, kita ada conclusion. Okay, so dalam conclusion ni lah yang penting. Semua penting, tapi conclusion ni lah di mana kita justify the gap. Okay, so kita summarize the key findings, emphasize their significance, and justify our study. Later, I'll show the examples. Okay, sekejap I end the show sekejap. Okay, so this will be the examples. Later, I will pass to Nadia lah, and then perhaps you want to refer lepas ni kan nak menulis. Kejap now. Make sure dia fokus kat situ. Okay. Okay, for examples. Katalah, sekarang nak tulis problem posing strategy by structure dalam literature review tadi lah. Okay, so first paragraph adalah introduction. So in introduction, kita nak establish the focus and the purpose of this literature review. Okay, usually start dengan a very brief introduction lah about what is actually problem posing. Mungkin nak define ke sedikit briefly kan. Okay, so as you can see, you boleh read kat sini, boleh baca kat sini. I pun bacalah sikit-sikit kan untuk dapat the idea. Bukan nak suruh you faham the content untuk dapatkan the idea. Okay, so I start with problem posing is one of the instructional strategies in the classroom that requires critical thinking to succeed. This theory originates from this particular person. Okay, and then this theory also rooted from constructivist theory. Okay, so I mentioned introduction je, very light punya definition, and then what is actually problem posing ni. Okay, now advocating that knowledge is constructed by an individual using his or her own experience. The review has been done. Nampak maksudnya kita nak masuk dah kepada kita punya body. The review has been done to look in depth the strategies used. So this is the focus of our LR later on in the body punya paragraph. Okay, in previous studies and its suitability to be implemented in current setting. So sekarang kita dah establish kita punya fokus. Okay, fokus kita untuk this particular structure ataupun themes adalah nak look in depth the strategies used in previous study. So our body akan cerita pasal the strategy lah. Sebab kita punya structure, kita punya topik adalah problem posing strategy. Okay, alright. So examples of the body. In the body, from the readings from the previous articles, okay, multiple articles and whatnot, kita kena summarize, synthesize, analyze, and critically evaluate. Okay, so through reviewing several studies, ini sebenarnya I nak buat connection between, nak continuous lah the idea tu daripada the introduction punya paragraph kan. Sebab last I cakap the review. So untuk continue in the body tu I cakap through reviewing several studies, it was revealed that problem posing would encourage students to create their own question based on their own curiosity. So this will be the strategy. Okay, nampak I mentioned this strategy is useful because the nature of the question is determined by the students that can lead to more meaningful learning, and these are the citation. Sebab I review kan, jadi kena banyaklah citation tu. Maksudnya dalam one citation mungkin boleh 3 author, 4 author, 5 author kat situ sebab I'm doing a review punya approaches. Alright, so of course kena mention the strategy sebab topik kita adalah problem posing strategy. Jangan pula dalam body ni topik kita problem posing strategy tapi body tiba-tiba cerita pasal history dia. Tak boleh lah, tak kena, tak align. Jadi hilang mood nak baca. Okay, so this strategy. Nampak I'm using this particular word. However, maksudnya bila I use however, ini adalah argumentative punya style. Okay, dia kata this strategy is useful. Kan? However, maksudnya I nak bawakan the idea, contradict idea from the useful one. The traditional practice in classroom dictates students to solve questions given by teachers or others, not solving their own created question. Strategi ni memang berguna, tapi kita punya praktis dalam classroom masih lagi fokus kepada student kena selesaikan question yang diberikan oleh teacher dia. Maksudnya kita tak membudayakan student kena buat their own question and then solve their own question. Tak ada. Jadi itu adalah kontradik lah daripada the first perspective. Okay. During the lesson, students are given opportunities to vocalize their questions. Unfortunately, kita argue lagi. Alright. Memang waktu pengajaran, student diberikan peluang untuk bertanya soalan. Unfortunately, students rarely or never use this opportunity to ask question during the lesson. Citation. Okay, sebab this one is a very strong statement. So kena ada citation lah. Okay, so means kita argue. Nampak tak kita berlainan pendapat kat situ. Jadi ini dinamakan sebagai argumentative. Bila kita cakap pasal argumentative ni, ramai yang cakap macam mana nak buat argue? Macam mana nak buat argumentation? Macam ni lah nak buat argumentation. Okay, kita cakap, oh dia bagus walau bagaimanapun. Kan? This and that. Dia sebenarnya memang banyak student yang boleh bertanya soalan. Memang cikgu open. Siapa ada soalan dalam kelas kan? However, kan? Walau bagaimanapun. Apa tu? Malangnya. Based on the previous study, student kita ni tak tanya soalan pun. Macam itulah lebih kurang. Jadi ini adalah argumentative style. Okay? Dapat so ini body. So body ni you can extend to 3 or 4 paragraph. It depends on your contents lah. Kalau ada banyak strategi dan boleh argue accordingly. Okay, the conclusion. Ini menjawab terus soalan sahabat kita yang macam mana nak establish the gap. Okay? Dalam dalam conclusion, kita kena summarize the key findings and also justify kita punya research. So dekat sinilah kita akan come across the gap tu tadi. Okay, to date, katalah ada 3-4 paragraf lah untuk body. Saya buat ni untuk contoh je. To date, problem posing is a novel instructional strategy in Malaysia, even more foreign in biology. Maksudnya kita nak cakap, masih lagi di peringkat baru lagi di Malaysia dan dia semakin asing lah dalam biology subject. Okay. However, in foreign studies, kita bawalah melihat kepada study-study yang sebelum ni, has seen that problem posing in the mathematical field has made its mark as a teaching technique to encourage critical thinking. In Malaysia, particularly in biology teaching, students were not trained to create their own question. Ni mungkin boleh masukkan citation. Okay, and this pose as the most challenging part of this study. Maksudnya kat sini, kalau examiner tanya, mana gap you? Guna problem posing. Oh, gap I kat sini. Sebab dekat dalam biology subject, nampak dekat Malaysia, memang tidak ada, bukan tidak ada lah, based on the previous study, macam tu nak jawab dalam Viva, based on previous study by Tuti and Nadia, okay, they mention about how our students are not really asked the questions in the classroom. So I think problem posing is a huge challenges lah kalau kita buat dalam classroom, and perhaps it can be dictate ke dalam kita punya classroom in the future, for example. So these are the gap. Dalam matematik tak ada masalah. Memang dia widely used internationally and also di Malaysia. Tapi kalau in biology subject, it is a foreign thing. Dia adalah perkara asing. So these are the gap. Okay. Jadi ini how you actually write down the gap of the study. Bolehlah nak tambah lagi kat sini kan. Does this study intend to apa? To emphasize lagi the gap of the of your choice tadi. Okay, so saya harap saya menjawab soalan kawan kita yang ketiga tadi tu about macam mana kita nak establish the gap in our literature review. Okay, dia macam tu. Dia memang begini. Maksudnya in the first one introduction kita cerita dulu. The body kita kena summarize and critically evaluate, and then the last one conclusion tu kat sinilah kita kena highlightkan the key finding. Key finding dia kat sini tahu sebenarnya. Sebenarnya. Maksudnya problem posing ni banyak dilaksanakan dalam mathematics, dan dalam mathematics punya area memang dah diiktiraf sebagai salah satu teaching technique dalam matematik. Okay? To encourage the critical thinking. However, in biology memang sangat foreign dalam biology subject. So itu adalah nak justify the gap. So kita nak buat dalam biology subject. This study intend to see ataupun to examine the effectiveness of the problem posing in biology subject in Malaysia. Itu adalah kita punya intention, and then the gap is because problem posing ni dalam biology memang tak ramai yang pakai. Is it okay? Boleh kan? Ya.
Okay, sorry doktor. Yang question number 2 daripada Miss Noliza tadi. Belum menjawab lagi doktor kerana kajian saya berkenaan develop AR apps mengenai rubrik. Cuma saya belum jumpa teori spesifik untuk rubrik. So soalan saya, bolehkah saya guna teori pembelajaran konstruktivism kerana penggunaan rubrik dikaitkan dengan pembelajaran aktif pelajar? Itu justifikasi saya doktor. Bolehkah doktor?
Boleh. Jawapan dia boleh. So maksudnya rubrik yang akan di-develop tu nanti akan based on basis dia adalah constructivist theory. Jadi elemen dalam constructivist theory tu mesti appear dekat dalam rubrik tu tadi. So justificationnya adalah kerana apa yang nak dinilai tu, aktiviti yang nak dinilai tu tadi melibatkan active engaged learning kan, active learning task. So constructivist ni dia memang align dengan active learning task which is involve the students and teachers and whatnot. So rubrik itu memang boleh dibasiskan dengan constructivist theory. Tapi dengan syarat semua elemen ataupun elemen yang dipilih tu kena reveal, kena appear dalam rubrik tu. So boleh, tak ada masalah. Nanti explain dekat teori tu, the constructivist theory tu digunakan untuk develop the rubric. Ataupun kalau katalah, yes, betul lah tu. Sebab the based on soalan tu nak develop the rubric tu kan. Boleh, tak ada masalah. Okay, so hopefully menjawab soalan Miss Noliza. Tak puas hati sebab tadi tak kena. Tak kena dengan jawapan tu kan.
Okay, dia kata, okay doktor, thank you.
Okay, alright. So really hope that it's benefit you. Bolehlah membantu untuk go further. Okay, so boleh. Ini adalah examples of the writing. So later, I akan pass to Nadia and Nadia akan pass to all of you lah so that perhaps you boleh tengok lah, refer on how to do this and that. Okay, settle. Now, I akan demonstrate the steps on how I can come up with this particular paragraph. Ni kan macam this one lah. Maksudnya macam mana boleh tulis macam ni daripada satu sentences ke dua sentences ke tiga sentences, macam mana sebenarnya kita nak tulis this one. Okay, because some of our students kan, even they have a problems on how to actually state it back ataupun nak paraphrase the idea tu. Macam mana sebenarnya nak start menulis the paragraph tu. Okay, so I really hope that these steps can help you to actually write down the paragraph, one paragraph by one paragraph. Macam gitu Kejap. Alright. Okay, so first of all, let me present this. Steps to write critical LR. Okay, first, of course lah, kita kena identify the author and quotation. Usually dalam my bengkel of literature review, kalau yang 4 jam ke sehari macam tu kan, I akan buat atlas T kat sini. I akan buat atlas T I kat sini. So I akan tunjuklah macam mana kita nak extract the statements and whatnot to atlas using atlas T. Okay, but today kita tak akan ada masa lah untuk buka atlas T and whatnot. So I akan buat manual sahaja. So this one is kita nak kena identify the author and also the statement. I call it as a quotation sebab kita guna atlas T selalunya kan. Okay, and then kita identify those statement. The second step is arrange the statements ataupun quotation from general to specific. Ingat penulisan kita mesti selalu general to specific, kecuali bila kita sampai kepada discussion ataupun kepada summary kita buat specific to general. Okay, itu dah beza yang chapter 5 tu kan. Okay, and then determine the key idea of the quotations. Kita kena gariskan apakah the gist ataupun the keywords yang nak mention dalam statement tu, yang kita nak ambil daripada statement tu. Sometimes bukan apa, bila I buat this bengkel, bila kita buat hands on atlas T kan, quotation dia sampai satu paragraph di highlight. So, kalau you highlight too many things, you tak tahu macam mana nak summarize the paragraph. Okay, jadi hari ini I share dengan you macam mana kita nak daripada keyword kita nak develop the idea from the keywords. So please keyword sahaja, bukan the whole paragraph kena highlight. Ini adalah strategi yang sangat penting. Okay, and then arrange the quotations in paragraph and then synthesize the idea as a whole and paraphrase the sentences. Okay, so let us take a look a bit at the demonstration. Okay. Katalah I stick to problem posing strategies lagi supaya tak confuse. Jadi kita tahu yang kita nak menulis problem posing strategies ni. Okay, let's say I nak tulis the introduction punya paragraph. Ini ya introduction punya paragraph. I highlight sikit. So means kita tahu subtopik kita yang pertama problem posing strategies kena ada 3 benda. Introduction, body, conclusion. Okay, so of course kita kena start dengan introduction dulu. Macam mana nak tulis introduction ni? Of course lah kena buat literature review, kena baca artikel untuk dapat the ideas of the introduction. Katalah dalam introduction ni you nak explain the origin of the teori. Jadi tulis kat sini sebab semua paragraph kena ada tema kan tadi. Jadi untuk introduction ni katalah your idea is nak tulis sebagai origin of the theory. Jadi nanti bila you dapat artikel, you tahu apa you nak cari untuk you punya introduction. Okay? Okay, katalah I pun carilah artikel of problem posing. I tulislah origin dekat keyword tu kan. Dia pun keluarlah a few articles and then I have the articles. Okay, contoh katalah ini artikel pertama. Ini I buat dummy je tau. Jadi memang dia kelihatan begitulah. Okay, for example, katalah dia punya topik problem posing this and that. Okay. The author will be here, and then these are the publication, journal, and then also this is the years. Okay. Katalah kita baca, kita pun nampaklah this theory originates from Paulo Freire. Sebab kita nak tengok origin tadi kan. Okay. Known as pedagogy of the oppressed, in which the oppressed create a new situation based on the cause of their oppression. So, ini adalah dia punya origin. Jadi kita pun highlightkan this statement, kita copy and then kita pastekan dalam kita punya chapter. Kalau I suka buat macam ni lah. Buat step by step macam ni. Okay, so kita identify the author. The author tadi adalah Canada's 2018. Kena identify the author sebab nanti later kita tahu statement ni adalah daripada Canada's. Jadi kita boleh cite using Mendeley. Ada juga based on my experience, dia dah buat statement di copy paste statement, lepas tu lupa siapa author. Nak cite balik tak tahu nak cari mana dah. Jadi itu juga problem. Okay, so saya selalunya buat macam ni. Untuk datangkan satu paragraf. Memang susah. Nak tulis satu paragraf tu bukan senang. Saya tahu perasaan tu. Kadang-kadang kita buka laptop, kita termenung 10 minit, satu perkataan pun tak keluar. Betul tak? So ini at least dengan strategi ini, at least you dapat nampak dah, dah ada 2 baris dah dekat I punya literature review. So this kind of thing. Okay? Okay, ini adalah the first author. Talking about the origin. Ingat kita nak cerita pasal introduction dulu. Okay, so the first step adalah identify author and quotations related. Saya letak kat sini using Atlas TI, tapi this time kita buat manual ya. Okay, katalah the second author. I jumpa lagi second author. Ini dia punya second author. Ini dia punya title. And then ini adalah dia punya tarikh. Okay, year. Bukan apa senang nak cite dengan Mendeley nanti. Okay, kita pun baca. Dia kata author ni kata problem posing is said to be rooted from constructivist theory. Okay, so kita pun copy this statement, masukkan ke dalam kita punya structure of writing. So this will be the second author. Katalah kita buat numbering kat sini kan supaya tak confuse. 1, ni 2. Ini kita bawah sikit. Okay, so author ini adalah Sengkoi tadi. 2013. Ini dia punya statement. Okay, so itu adalah first step. Katalah you jumpa 3 artikel, 4 artikel, you list down je dulu. So you buat jadual. Hari Sabtu, I nak list down the author and then identify the quotation. Hari Sabtu malam, I nak put in hierarchy. Okay, pergi kepada step number 2. Step number 2 ni kita nak letakkan dalam hierarchy. Ini hierarchy ni bila kita ada 5 atau 6 artikel yang kita dah search kan. Of course lah kita kena susun dia punya idea tu. Supaya idea tu daripada general kepada specific. Okay, so since in my example ni kita ada 2 author saja, so it's no big issue. Yang the first one kita letak first one lah, the second one kita letak second one. Okay, so mean kita letak hierarchy. So hierarchy-nya adalah sama seperti ini. Copy and then kita paste lah. Tapi kalau you ada 5 or 7 or 8 articles, of course you need to put it in a hierarchy, in a new arrangement. Okay, daripada general kepada specific. It's a must. Okay, it's a must. Okay, and then underline the point. Sorry lah, dia jadi warna merah kat sini. Tak maaf lah kalau sakit mata. So, the next thing is underline the point. Okay, so kita letak balik kita punya tu. You boleh buat je dalam the same ni. Tapi sebab I nak tunjukkan the step ni, jadi I copy paste to the different lines ya. Okay, for example, Canada's ni, apa yang dia punya pointnya? Keywords ni adalah originates from Paulo Freire. Itu satu. Nah, ni dia punya keywords. And then, known as pedagogy of the oppressed. Ini adalah keywords yang kita perlu masukkan ke dalam writing kita. Okay. So, oppressed ni, they create a new situation. Based on dia punya situations of oppression, yang apa tekanan yang orang bagi itu, daripada tekanan keadaan itu, they create a new situation untuk keep on their living lah. For example. Okay, so itu adalah dia punya keywords. Okay, now let's go to Kenkoy. Problem posing is said to be rooted from constructivist theory. So this will be the keywords. Okay, and then their knowledge, they emphasize on the knowledge gained from an individual will be constructed knowledge from an individual constructed based on own experiences. Maksudnya kalau based on constructivist ni, pengetahuan hanya akan dibina daripada pengalaman sendiri. Orang cerita tak jalan. Dia mesti buat, dia mesti mengalami benda tu, barulah dia dapat the knowledge. Itu constructivist punya teori. Okay, so ini adalah dia punya keywords. Okay. The thing is, saya nak buat macam ni, kenapa saya kena underline the point? Sebab ini adalah yang kena ada dalam writing. The rest of the sentences created it, paraphrase it, buat your own words. So dengan inilah dia tak akan jadi macam copy paste from the author. Dia akan jadi your own words. Ini adalah dia punya key. Yang penting dalam ayat tu kena ada keyword ni. Macam mana you olah di ayat, it depends on you. Okay, clear cut ya. Sebab sebelum ni kita copy paste the whole paragraph. Jadi nak paraphrase susah. Bila nak paraphrase, dia akan kok mana pun dia jalan dekat situ. Okay. Tapi sekarang dah ada Grammarly lah, whatever it is kan. Tapi I dulu tak gunalah benda-benda tu. So you all can guna that one. Okay, so this is the times where kita synthesize the idea as a whole. Macam mana nak synthesize the idea as a whole? Mula-mula arrange the quotation in the paragraph. Sebab tadi dalam numbering kan, ini I buat mudah je ada 2. Tapi you just imagine kalau you ada 8, ada 9 author. So you kena arrange lah following these particular steps. Okay, so I paste balik. I arrange dalam paragraph ya. Okay, so kita kena arrange in paragraph. Okay, should be this one adalah di belakang ayat lah. Tapi depends lah kalau you kata nak buat macam mana you punya style of citation, it depends on you. Okay, tapi this one I imagine kita nak emphasize on the statement. Jadi kita kena letakkan the author di belakang. Okay. Nanti masukkan citation dengan Mendeley. Okay, Kenkoy ni juga kena ke belakang. Kalau nak letak awal-awal di belakang tadi pun boleh, tak ada masalah. Okay, cuma saya letak di depan tu sebab style of citation tu pun might be different kan. Ada yang boleh berada di tengah-tengah, ada yang boleh berada di hadapan. Kenapa? Alah, nampak. Sorry. 2013. Okay. So it should be look like this. Sampai tahap ni kan, based on my experience dulu, I lega, I boleh tidur. Sebab at least I dah dapat satu paragraph untuk introduction. Daripada tidak ada apa-apa dalam my literature review. Okay, so tak apalah ayat orang pun tak apa. Hari Ahad nanti bila dah fresh pergi jalan-jalan makan ice cream and what not, okay, and buka laptop, paraphrase, buat your own words. So the next step will be paraphrase using own words. Ini yang jadi macam ni. Pergi pada example tadi kan. Kita tengok The original ayat, this theory originate from Paulo Freire, known as pedagogy of oppressed, in which the oppressed create a new situation based on the cause of their oppression. Bila kita paraphrase, ayatnya jadi macam ni. Dalam my example tadi. Nampak my screen? Problem posing is one of the instructional strategies in the classroom that requires critical thinking to succeed. Nampak tak? I tambah ayat I sendiri. Kat mana I dapat ayat ni? Of course from my reading lah. From my reading, from my experiences. Perlu ke citation this ayat? Tak perlu. Sebab ini adalah bukan strong statement. Okay, jadi dia tidak perlukan any citation. Okay. So the second sentences I ambil daripada the first author. This theory originates from Paulo Freire 1970, known as pedagogy of the oppressed. I titik. I tak tiru betul-betul ayat dia tadi. Kalau ikutkan ayat dia macam lain. Ni I paste kat sini . Ni memang tunjuk sesuatu lah ni supaya nak suruh you faham the structure macam mana nak paraphrase. Sebab ada yang paraphrase pun sama juga ayat dia. Dia kata dia dah paraphrase tapi sama je I baca. Okay, so this one. This one is the original punya ayat. This theory originate from Paulo Freire, known as pedagogy of the oppressed, in which, tapi I paraphrase. Jadi, this theory originates, known as pedagogy of the oppressed. I put full stop kat situ. In this theory, the oppressed recognize the cause of their oppression from which they create a new situation to keep on their living. Nampak I buat ayat I sendiri kat situ. Sama tak maksud dia? Sama. Tapi ayat dan olahan tu adalah berbeza. Kita paraphrase on our own words. Okay, sama juga for the second sentences. Dia kena letak side by side baru nampak dia punya beza. Okay, ini adalah daripada original author yang dalam my paragraph. Okay, hari Ahad kita nak paraphrase kita punya ayat tu tadi. Problem posing is said to be rooted from constructivist theory which emphasize knowledge gained from an individual be constructed based on own experiences. So I paraphrase dia punya original phrase ni. This theory of critical thinking is rooted from constructivist theory, advocating that knowledge is constructed by an individual using his or her own experiences. The review has been done to look in depth the strategies used in previous study. Ini ayat I sendirilah sebab nak connectkan dengan the body of the literature. So nampak walaupun dia macam lebih maknanya sama tapi ayatnya berbeza. So ini maksudnya bila reader baca dia tak nampaklah sangat copy paste tu. Dia tak nampaklah macam ayat tu macam stagnant macam tu. Okay, so bila dah paraphrase, delete lah yang original author tu tadi and then dapatlah satu paragraph of introduction. Jadi itu dia punya step. Okay, untuk body buat yang sama. Maksudnya untuk tuliskan satu paragraph of the body, you need to go back to this particular steps. Identify author and quotation, put in hierarchy to make sure that kita punya idea tu daripada general to specific, underline the point, the keywords, the keywords, bukan highlight the whole paragraph and copy paste. Tak, bukan. Itu adalah strategi yang kurang tepat. Okay, and then barulah synthesize the idea as a whole. Synthesize idea as a whole ni pun ada step dia. Mula-mula arrange dulu dalam paragraph, which is the original punya sentence, and then bila-bila ada masa dah lega-lega kepala, barulah paraphrase from this particular point. Dapatlah kita satu paragraph yang penuh untuk introduction, and then the body, and then the conclusion. Okay, so ini adalah steps untuk writing the LR. To share with you, I'm using this step. Sebab dulu-dulu waktu I buat PhD tu lagilah memang tak ada siapa yang nak guide satu-satu, tak ada. Okay, so this one is actually based on my own experiences. And then I buat strategi ni, I develop strategi ni, and actually I tengah dalam copyright kan the strategies. Sebab I buat dalam bentuk what we call that, a mini book macam tu. Okay, for everyone to refer to lah untuk buat literature review. So tengah ISBN kan dan juga copyright kan the procedures. So ini adalah from me myself. Jadi I think based on my experience it helped me. Okay, tapi mungkin sebab kita kan variations kan manusia ni, mungkin it doesn't really work for you, tapi you should try first. Kalau kata macam tak berapa nak membantu, dan mungkin you boleh guna your own way. Okay, tapi ini adalah salah satu usaha saya lah untuk share dengan all of you how actually I go through my literature review, and then boleh menulis literature review ni dalam masa beberapa minggu. Okay, so I really hope that will be benefits to you too lah. Okay, so I think sampai situ habis kita punya steps to write a critical literature review. Okay, so more or less ini adalah dia punya conclusion lah based on our presentation today or sharing today. So this will be the what we call that, the conclusion. Okay, of course, in writing a literature review, you need to choose and refine your topic. Okay, which is kita buat dah tadi, develop the themes tu kan. And then kita select the literature yang identify the author and whatnot. Kita analyze and synthesize, which is yang I tunjuk tadi, macam mana combinekan the paragraph and then paraphrase and whatnot. Okay, and then if you need to develop your argumentation, please select your paper selectively lah. Maksudnya ada yang different perspective, ada yang sama perspective and whatnot. Okay, so I think that's all from me. Mungkin ada volunteer ke nak tunjuk the structure tu tadi? Sempat ke Nadia seorang? Dah pukul 12 dah ni.
Boleh kot doktor seorang. Anyone?
Ada any volunteers ke? Ke semua dah nak pergi lunch?
Okay, Miss Noliza, kan? Boleh ke saya? Okay, can.
Boleh. Okay, alright. I stop share ya.
Okay.
You need to share the screen, Noliza?
Okay, doctor.
Alright.
I have the slide.
Sure.
So kena enable dulu untuk saya present.
Enable dulu. Saya ke yang kena enable?
The host lah kan?
Sekejap ya doktor.
Boleh. Sambil-sambil tu sekejap ya.
Lagi sekali Noliza.
Okay, sekejap doktor. Okay, dah boleh. Okay. Nampak ke, doktor?
Nampak. Okay, I dah nampak.
Okay. Saya kena tutup dulu tajuk app saya tu sebab research saya pun tak siap lagi.
Okay, no worries.
So generally saya ada refer lah thesis Dr. Tuti and dia banyak memberi inilah guide lah untuk saya buat apps ni. Okay. Okay, so actually macam ni doktor, research saya sebenarnya bukan untuk murid tapi untuk cikgu. That's why untuk yang teori tu adakah relevan walaupun untuk partisipan saya adalah guru tapi saya kaitkan dengan constructivism.
Kejap, at the end of the day you nak evaluate the teachers or you want to evaluate the students or the effect of the teaching? Teachers.
The effect of the okay, I'm not looking for the effectiveness.
Okay, so means you nak tengok the teachers lah in terms of teachers, the method tu.
And the acceptance of using the apps.
Okay. So means the contents of the apps also need to be developed using the constructivist theory jugalah. Sebab kalau you nak develop the rubric based on constructivist theory, the content tu pun mestilah follow the constructivist theory. You know what I mean?
In term of apa tu doktor, sorry.
Maksudnya sekarang nak develop rubrik kan?
Ya, betul.
Nak rubrik tapi ada apps dia, betul tak?
So apps dia tu actually content refer kepada apa yang supervisor saya dah pernah bagi talk dekat peserta kan tentang rubrik. So saya akan gunakan dalam apps.
Okay. So maksudnya rubrik tu dia akan di-movekan dalam apps lah macam tu.
Dia macam ni. Idea dia rubrik tu dia untuk belajar. Okay. User boleh belajar apa itu rubrik, type of rubrik, benefit all kind of the rubric lah. Then the second one, the user can develop their own rubric using my apps. That's the idea.
I see. Okay, so I think tak ada major problem lah kalau you pakai constructivist theory tu for your rubric.
Tak ada
problem. Yes.
Okay.
Yang penting apa yang nak tengok tu align dengan the theory tu. So tak ada masalah for me.
Dan pada dekat part teori tu perlu ke saya mention walaupun saya guna constructivism, so saya refer kepada guru ataupun murid atau tak perlu justifikasi apa-apa?
Untuk teori related tu ke? Tak perlu. Teori related tu adalah kita mention about the theory yang kita guna sahaja. Okay. So generally yang ini yang actually apa yang doktor dah suggest tadi, so saya memang buat macam tu. Tapi dah sampai chapter 3 saja dululah. Saya buat by team.
Macam ni overall. Okay. So okay, cuma soalan saya, saya tak ada sekejap. Saya tak ada, contoh macam doktor tadi ada biologi kan? Apa ni? Dia punya area kan? Saya tak ada. Saya just general untuk rubrik tu sebagai pentaksiran prestasi murid untuk sekolah menengah. Boleh ke macam
So itulah research area you, pentaksiran prestasi.
pentaksiran? Okay. So pentaksiran tu, so saya pun ceritalah sedikit tentang pentaksiran, and then objective assessment. Kemudian apa skop dari segi pendidikan di Malaysia. And then dia banyak sebenarnya pentaksiran alternatif, dan saya come out dengan rubrik. So dekat masa ni part ni, perlu ke saya mention kenapa saya pilih rubrik? Pilih checklister.
Okay, dalam you punya argumentation dekat dalam rubrik tu nanti 2.4 tu kan, dekat situ justify why you choose to develop this rubrik. Sebab kat situ mesti ada argumentation kenapa rubrik sekarang mungkin ada weaknesses, ada strength dan sebagainya kan. So dekat 2.4 tu you need to justify the gap. Okay, and then my suggestion is, I don't know, perhaps you can later discuss with the supervisor, sebab you dah ada pentaksiran kat atas tu secara general. Mungkin pentaksiran prestasi ke, I don't know, sebab dekat itu reveal you punya title kan. And then mungkin bawah pentaksiran tu you akan ada sub team which is pentaksiran alternatif.
Okay, betul.
Ataupun you nak macam ni, pentaksiran dalam sistem pendidikan Malaysia, itu lebih general, and then you ada pentaksiran alternatif, and then apa lagi satu, mungkin dia semakin spesifik kat situ, sebab I think pentaksiran dalam sistem pendidikan Malaysia tu sounds good to be your subject area.
Saya rasa itu yang patut saya ketengahkan, the first one.
Yes,
and then,
correct.
In between saya boleh cerita tentang definition pentaksiran, and then subtopic is a pentaksiran alternatif. Okay lah.
Yes, ataupun you boleh buat jenis-jenis pentaksiran.
Okay.
Jadi dalam jenis-jenis pentaksiran tu mestilah reveal salah satunya adalah rubrik. So baru you masuk 2.4 iaitu rubrik.
Okay.
Jadi nampaklah dia punya flow tu.
Okay, doktor.
Alright.
So ini antara apa yang saya dah highlight lah.
Tapi kan, ini adalah you punya ni lah yang nak pakai reality terimbuh ni kan. Okay.
Okay. So bila sentuh 2.6 tu yang DDR tu, dan saya pun ada baca yang actually saya tak tahu benda baru, combination of type 1 and type 2. Cuma okay, macam app saya ni adalah saya develop from scratch lah, okay, and then dia akan digunakan oleh guru lah, okay. That mean saya punya pun boleh combine ke macam mana, doktor?
Okay, dia macam ni. Untuk combine type 1 and type 2 DDR, dia mesti ada ciri-ciri type 1 and type 2. Maksudnya you punya research ni mesti ada both of the ciri-ciri. Macam my research, kenapa I cakap combination? Because I buat a very specific module, okay, which is untuk problem posing tadi tu kan. So I mentioned about a very specific module. Tapi my report, kalau you already dah tengok my thesis kan, the report tu I buat generally supaya semua orang boleh merujuk kepada thesis I untuk develop the product. Maksudnya orang lain boleh menjadikan thesis I sebagai contoh untuk dia develop dia punya own product walaupun dia bukan module problem posing.
Faham?
So itu adalah type 1 and type 2. Maksudnya kita punya report tu dia mestilah according to the ciri-ciri type 1 and type 2. Jadi you pun boleh combine kalau you nak buat thesis you macam tu.
Okay,
maksudnya bila you mention about the methodology and what not, you tak boleh fokus on your rubric sahaja. You kena mention about the general procedures of each of the technique that you use.
Dalam metodologi. Okay. Saya ingat apps tu saja yang akan mempengaruhi type 1, type 2. So the way kita writing metodologi.
Sebab type 2 dia more generalizable. Kalau type 1 dia more specific to the product sahaja.
Okay, so sekali lagi saya nak ulang untuk type 1 type 2 tu, maknanya tak bermaksud saya buat apps ni spesifik untuk one group, and then I boleh bagi tahu dia type 1 macam tu.
Kalau you the type of reporting tu adalah memang you cerita pasal that particular rubric sahaja, it's not in a general procedure, so you ada type 1.
Oh, okay.
Tapi kalau kata procedure tu, even though you are developing the rubric, tapi the procedures tu other researcher pun boleh rujuk untuk buat interview. For example, katalah untuk buat katalah you ada buat interview dengan cikgu. Jadi research yang tak buat development tapi dia nak buat interview, dia boleh rujuk you punya research untuk procedure of interview. You know what I mean? So maksudnya dia jadi model pula kepada other researcher. Itu maksud dia kat itu.
Kan?
Yes. Jadi you boleh combine. Kalau you ada ciri-ciri itu, you boleh combine.
Cuma tak berapa confident untuk nak state ada ciri. Yang itu kena baca lagi lah, Doktor.
Yes, betul.
So ini lebih kurang lah saya punya objektif. Okay. Dan saya nak tanya sikit lah, satu lagi untuk teori. Okay, so saya guna yang teori kognitif, pembelajaran multimedia. And bila ini untuk kerangka teori lah, theoretical framework. Kemudian yang ni untuk conceptual framework. So combination pada teori saya guna. Okay, saya guna yang UTAC, penggunaan teori penerimaan dan penggunaan teknologi ni perlu mention tak, Doktor? Sebab dalam objektif saya highlightkan untuk nak kena pasti acceptance dengan perception. Dalam konseptual ni patut ke saya letakkan teori
kalau itu digunakan untuk mengukur dependent variables, kena ada lah. Sebab nak ukur acceptance and rating tu kan, kena pakai teori tu kan. Okay, cuma saya dalam conceptual framework ni, kejap, dia macam agak awkward sikit sebab it's two different visualization kan. You
tak mix together.
Yes, it doesn't mix together.
Saya dah faham lah. Saya dah nampak yang
okay, so perhaps you can modify lah from those things. Jadi sebab kita nak nampak dia punya relationship tu between theory and whatnot.
Saya kena letak yang untuk DV tadi lah kan, yang teori penerimaan ni sebagai DV lah, betul tak?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. And then that one part yang untuk teori kognitif tu boleh combine mana-mana ke macam mana, Doktor?
Boleh combine mana-mana. So you are using that particular theory for develop those particular apps kan? Betul tak?
Yang itu saya gunakan yang teori multimedia tu lah.
Yelah, maksudnya CTML tu lah kan? CTML tu to develop the apps lah kan?
Ya, tapi perlu ke saya come out untuk rubrik tu sendiri itself? Ke tak perlu?
Okay, untuk rubrik tak ada. Untuk rubrik you takkan involve CTML. CTML is actually using to develop you punya apps. Tapi you need to mention in your conceptual framework. Sebab itu adalah you punya research. Teori yang you pakai overall. So CTML tu mesti juga di-mention dalam conceptual framework.
Untuk constructivism tu?
Kena mention. Sebab itu yang develop you punya rubrik.
Walaupun tak ada elemen constructivism dalam rubrik, tapi by general rubrik tu memang akan melibatkan pelibatan aktif. Boleh macam tu?
Okay, itu saya cakap tadi. Kalau you nak pakai constructivist, maksudnya in your rubrik kena ada elemen-elemen constructivist. Kena ada lah. Maksudnya kalau katalah constructivist tu cakap pasal discussion, group discussion ke and whatnot kan. So rubrik itu mesti ada. Maksudnya aktiviti ini melibatkan group discussion among the student. Mesti ada elemen itu dalam you punya rubrik itu.
Kalau tak ada, tapi kena wajib ada teori pembelajaran.
Perlu ada. Sebab kalau you nak evaluate, you mesti based on the theory and literature review.
Okay, Doktor. Thank you, Doktor.
Okay, alright. So I think the structure is okay. Cuma go back to the chapter 2 tadi tu, structure tu. I think kalau yang nombor berapa tadi? Teknologi realiti terimbuh dalam pentaksiran ataupun rubrik pentaksiran lagi cantik.
Okay. Okay, kalau yang part ni sikit lah. Mungkin subtopik kita boleh come out ke sebab untuk apps ni jarang saya, bukanlah tak banyak lah researcher yang guna. Dia orang mostly guna website. And then boleh saya buat subtopik ke macam tu? Boleh.
Bawah teknologi realiti terimbuh tu.
Okay, boleh. Okay, thank you, Doktor.
Okay, alright. So congratulations, Noliza. Tepuk lah kawan. Tepuk pun tak dengar kan. Okay, but anyway, I think it's a good job. Nampaknya macam begitu. Maksudnya the structure tu ada kat situ lah. Maksudnya portray the title kan. So I hope that everybody also will follow the steps and please recheck. Okay, buat balance lah. Buat balancing about the topics and also in LR and also the title of the research. InsyaAllah. Okay, so I think that will be all from me, and also kita dah ada satu presentation dah settle, and then I give back to Nadia lah. Dan sebelum tu saya nak, sorry Nadia, sebelum tu saya nak wish all the best lah to all the participants. Hopefully you can finish your thesis and also your PhD or your masters strong. Okay, so I minta maaf banyak kalau ada tersalah, tersilap, terkasar bahasa dan sebagainya. InsyaAllah kita jumpa lagi lah di platform yang lain. Okay, so back to you Nadia.
Okay, thank you so much Doktor. Komen dekat chat ni semua useful for their critical literature review. The step right literature review show by Dr. Tuti are very critical for us. That are the critical keys we need for our literature review chapter. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for all participants. Hopefully, all participants can benefit from Dr. Tuti sharing and can be applied all the tips in your master PhD journey. Okay, so if possible, can you open the video? I want to capture the memories. Okay, siapa yang boleh buka video? Okay, before we end our session today.
Semuanya pemalu.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay. Okay. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Ready, everyone? 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, wait, I will paste the picture. Okay. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, again, 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, before we end our session today, I have some information or some info that maybe you can join next our program. Let me show our slide first. Okay, sorry Dr. Farah, can you share the slide? Tak boleh nak share pula. Sorry. Dr. Farah, can share slide yang tadi ke?
Cuba Nadia lagi sekali, boleh?
Okay, sekejap. Yeah. Okay, wait a minute.
Else I try.
Okay.
Okay. So,
okay.
InsyaAllah, nampak
Nampak Doktor?
Okay. InsyaAllah, our next webinar is something quite different, not related to research, but related to helping yourself, which is titled as Fall Deeply Curious and in Love with Yourself by Coach Annie. This one will be online totally on Friday, September 2nd, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Everyone is invited to join. It's free, and so you can invite your friends to join us. Okay. Secondly, another workshop will have sampling and sampling methods. This is related to your research methodology and also the thesis or dissertation completion. Please join us Saturday, 10th of September, 10 a.m. to 12 noon, also in Zoom platform. We will share all of this information in our Telegram and also WhatsApp. You can always contact Dr. Nadia if you need more information. Yeah. Back to you, Dr. Nadia.
Okay, thank you so much. Alhamdulillah, we have finally come to the end of our seminar today. On behalf of our organizer, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our speaker, Dr. Tuti, for taking time off their busy schedule to be here with us and sharing their knowledge and also experience. Thank you so much, Dr. Tuti. And I also like to thank all participants for actively participating into this event. This event will not be success without all of you. Before we take our leave, kindly ensure that you have complete the feedback form in order to get your recording session and other materials. And we also like to gather some feedback for our upcoming session. And you may leave the webinar session after filling up the feedback form. And lastly, I would like to apologize for any shortcoming or technical difficulties throughout this event. Thank you and have a nice day, weekend. Okay, Assalamualaikum and bye.
Assalamualaikum.
Thank you.
Bye everyone.
Terima kasih, Doktor.
Okay, thank you everyone.
Terima kasih, Doktor.
Thank you. Okay Nadia, okay Dr. Farah. So I undur diri ya.
Okay, boleh. Thank you,
Okay,
Dr.
bye.
Tuti.
Alright,
Nanti
see
kita
you.
WhatsApp. Okay.
Beres.
Okay.
Okay, I will end the session for everyone, yeah?
Okay. Thank you, Doctor.